All right, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of Before the Gate. We are on our fifth episode, our first and last episode, the penultimate episode, as they say. So thank you for joining us and following us on this little ghost story of a tale as we finish out the year. Well, as I finish out the year, everybody else is doing their thing. I don't stream anywhere else because I don't have anything. Anyway, speaking of which, let's go ahead and get to some announcements. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share tonight before we start into tonight's episode?
Sure. We have Hero Pups episodes
Yes,
coming
we
up
do.
with Tempting Fate.
Oh, God,
that'll be the
that's awesome.
next 3 Sundays.
Thank you again for my birthday, puppers. We
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Is that the one where Gina wears puppy ears and stuff like that? Is she gonna?
I'm sure she will.
She'll whip out the puppy
I'm
ears.
sure she will.
Excellent.
Yeah, but it's going to be wholesome and awesome. And if, everything, this horror, if it's keeping you up, and I know, like, with the chat room, they're like, oh, here's some pillows.
Mhm.
We'll be like, well, Tempting Fate is,
Wholesome pupper content.
yeah.
It's a decompression.
pillow.
Maybe
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
maybe.
It's like,
Well,
do
find
this and
puppy
then
love.
do that on Sunday.
I always characterized Tempting Fate the same way I characterized Minds and Crafts, which is it's comfort food.
Well, then where are my fucking Oreos, Campbell?
Oh, Oreo suit me. And so did Sesame Street.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
So, what else you guys got? Anything else?
Yeah, and if you want to keep the horror rolling,
Yeah.
then Something Scary, my horror podcast, drops on every Tuesday. We have animated horror episodes, and also I read like additional stories for a podcast. And yeah, this upcoming one, I believe, is called Ghostly Spirits of Africa. So it's well worth a listen and a watch.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. When is that? When is that coming?
Tuesdays,
Tuesday?
9 a.m. PST, and then I believe the video drops at 9 a.m. PST, and then the actual podcast drops at 11.
Right on.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. How about y'all?
So I will not be on Hero Pups this weekend.
Fine. Everything's fine.
Birthday, Sam.
Who said you're allowed to just be born?
So true. I will not be there this weekend, but I'll be there for the third weekend, in which I will definitely be coming back as Huff Ellen.
Finale poppers.
So
Yes!
I'm very excited
It
about
all comes
that.
back to Roger Rabbit.
Yes, it always comes back to Roger Rabbit. I thought I was going to have some cool news to announce today, but some people are late on their paperwork, and so I will probably have that news next week.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So
Super
next
curious.
week- I know, right? Who is she May tweeting
I
right
don't
now?
know. Like, what are we doing that requires paperwork? My God.
Anyway,
Anyway.
for you.
Yes. So, if you've been enjoying this show, but you also enjoy listening to these kinds of shows on your commute, Before the Gate is available in podcast form, so tell your friends. All of the first 4 episodes are already up on Spotify and iTunes and wherever your fine podcasts are distributed, so please check it out. Also available this week here on QueueTimes, we have a tip link. Unlike some studios, we do not have a great big corporate sugar daddy. However, we are constantly in search of glucose parents. So if you are so inclined, please donate to the tip link. It is how our cast gets paid. So please keep us in caffeine and dice. Thank you so much for your support.
Glucose parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to grab that before somebody else seizes it as
Glucose,
abandoned.
fructose parents, lactose parents, dextrose.
Get the Twitter
dextrose.
handles.
Please feel
Dextrose.
free to tweet me your favorite kinds of sugar. I will like that. Fill my mentions with chemistry.
Damn.
I'm excited.
Sam to Leve, everybody. No one sells it like Sam. Let's see if I've got any announcements before we jump into tonight's game. I'll just go through my Rolodex in my head for a second. All I've got to announce is that next week's going to be a very exciting week for us here. I can't say too much more than that, but I would just say continue to stay tuned to QueueTimes for some pretty big announcements. With that being said, I think that we can go ahead and just jump into tonight's ghost story before the game.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
Loki's the best.
Welcome back. Loki is pretty cool.
Yes.
Loki is pretty cool.
And alive.
And I'm very much alive.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we jump into tonight's game, let's do a quick recap. We'll just go ahead and recap exactly where we left off last game. After some pretty dramatic events took place, I had a piano lesson, and then was preceded, of course, after the piano lesson, a new piano student stopped by the house.
He did not want to learn piano!
He enjoyed a nice piece being played by the piano teacher, Michelle. And yes, so Sam McGee is getting all up in the crew's business, and he definitely made an appearance last session where he decided to track down Michelle Curiel, the piano teacher who apparently back in the 70s knew Darren, the ghost that you were all attempting to put to rest right now before it's too late. It seems like the momentum has been growing and growing, that whatever is going to happen with the case of Darren McAfee, it's going to be resolved soon. Because as not only have you had these encounters with Sam McGee, but apparently a cult of necromancers has made their home here in San Francisco and has announced themselves.
Yeah, someone showed up at the shop trying to romance Juliet's neck, and we're not about it.
Nah, not about it.
And Leo showed back up at the shop, not just after closing time. There was a knock on the door, or actually more as though you saw Ticking Man kind of clued you in that somebody was at the door.
Yes.
And standing outside of Craven's Crystals was Leo.
The
in
necromancer.
the middle of the night.
Hot
Yeah.
necromancer, too.
Which caused some significant alarm, and for you to reach out to your crew and immediately get people down as quickly as possible. So you alerted Betha, you alerted Ivy, and now you had a brief conversation with him as well.
Yes, I did.
Through the door on your cell phone.
Yes.
Ticking Man pretty much made his presence known, so that this necromancer was going to try something, whatever he could try, that it was going to cost him. Interestingly enough, Leo did not mince words, and he didn't appear to try to pull anything with you. Instead, he made a proposition, stating clearly that it's true that the interests that he works towards run in conflict with the interests of your crew, but that the bigger threat is a unstable Reaper who is loose in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And has proposed that the cult of necromancers and this crew of sin eaters team up to do something about this Reaper. You don't have a lot of experiences with necromancers.
Not at all.
All you know about Reapers is that everyone from the upper reaches of the underworld to everyone else you've spoken to, including Betha, who is somewhat of a lorehound when it comes to the underworld. Everyone seems to agree Reapers are they are on the top of the food chain and very, very, very dangerous.
We also don't like Sam McGee. We also know he's a heckin' liar.
He is a manipulator of some kind.
Skank-ass liar Sam McGee!
As we
Fuck
know.
that guy!
As we know.
As we know.
As you know.
But yes, Leo was very succinct, and I think that's entirely because the Ticking Man was right there telling him to go away. But he left his number.
He left his number. It's been about 15 minutes after he's left when both Ivy and Betha are showing up at the exact same moment in a rush. Betha's going to arrive slightly earlier, being that she's much closer to the store than Ivy, even with no streets, or no traffic on the streets. Betha arrives pretty quickly. Heralding Betha's arrival is the appearance of a dread Geist. As Betha's car is pulling up, the unmistakable form of Bo is moving down the street at a terrifying speed. Just it kind of detaches from the car and flows over towards the entrance to the store. Bo almost seems to move as if Bo recognizes this store as part of the territory, so to speak.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know any better, you would think that this Dreadgeist was coming into the defense of this store as he's just moving down the street. You cannot make out his legs at all as he's moving. In fact, the way he moves almost seems like the inky blackness is carrying him, like it's slithering along as part of his lower body as he's moving through the over this wet pavement.
Yeah.
Leaving no trace. And seconds later is a door being thrown open and almost bouncing back closed with the force as Betha emerges from her driver's car.
Where is he?
He's gone.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. But like, don't worry.
And Betha grabs you, and it's like,
you're enveloped.
I almost lost you to Sam. I will not lose you to some pretty boy that walks into my space. She like pats you on the back and sets you.
I think this is the first time that Betha and I. This is the first time we've had. Is this the first time you've hugged me? This is the first time Betha has like shown any signs of kindness towards Juliet, and Juliet's brain short circuits because it's just like.
Juliet.exe has stopped responding.
Yeah, he left his number. I don't think he did. Thank you. I don't think he did anything for at the store, but also I've never seen a necromancer do their work. The second that Ivy gets here, I haven't heard from Malcolm. He might just be sleeping through this. Anyway, the second they get here, we need to do something, but they want to team up against Sam McGee.
No. All the no.
No. Is Bo okay?
You see headlights coming around the corner down the street as a car is approaching.
But more importantly, how are you?
I don't know how to answer that question. What do you mean?
I mean, within a day, you had to deal with Sam, and then you also had to deal with the necromancer Leo. I need for you to be okay. I don't think you understand how much you actually mean to me. How am I going to get anything done without you?
Juliet stops working.
And the car stops. And
we let's. Ivy's here.
Clicking wheels into place. Ivy's leaning.
Gonna take another beat. Sorry, buddy. I have to put my chair together.
You see Ivy is peeking through the passenger window as you hear the wheel snapping into place. Click.
I don't know what to say to that, Betha. Let's just not get eaten by reapers or necromancers.
Well, I think that's a good place to start.
Hi, Ivy.
Who's us? We're kick.
They're gone, but we got a number. You're very good at phones.
Miss Lily has a concerned look on her face as she emerges from the car. You see as she flows out of the vehicle and folds her hands behind her back, but you can see in her body language as she glances up, her features always look very ethereal, almost flowing, but she's looking very concerned at Bo because this Dreadgeist looks like he's kind of in the same emotional state as that to which he is bound. And as he's moving near Betha, he's looking down at Juliet and looking at the door and kind of looking around. If he didn't have the visage of death, you would think you were looking at somebody who was alive and investigating the scene of a crime. But he's just moving. Ticking Man, however, is in front of the store with his legs pulled up to his chest and his arms wrapped around his knees, and he's just watching all of this. He's not moving.
Oh boy.
He's just kind of curiously watching the exchange, and he's watching you.
I go to stand next to him. Actually, I stand behind him in the way that he usually stands behind me. I'm just gonna like settle there while Ivy makes their way in. Mm-hmm. And big mood, buddy.
So would you like to tell us what happened?
Yeah.
It's quite obvious that they had this store under observation and they waited for you to arrive.
Betha hugged me.
I hug a lot of people. I'm certain I've hugged
you
somebody
really
else
don't.
Before. I'm certain I have.
I almost thought you were. I mean, I know that you would never attack me, but it was a moment of like, what is happening?
How does this run into the necromancer?
Okay, right, necromancer. Focus, Julia. Focus.
Attack you.
Focus. No, I know you would never attack me. It just I wasn't expecting that.
I gave you a
necromancer.
raise after 3 months of working here.
You did.
That says a lot.
You did.
I didn't have to do that.
You didn't. Leo. We should focus on Leo right now.
Yes. Would you like to tell me what happened?
Yes. She starts pacing. Okay, so so I was here because I thought he would come back, and then, like, I was just hanging out with Olives. So, I'm saying that just in case, like every detail counts, right? Because, like, what if something attracts necromancers anyway? So Olives. And I'm playing with those, just hanging out with those, and then I see the ticking man react to something, and he goes up to the window, and he peers through the window, and sure enough, there's Leo, just as expected. I mean, I guess that's good that I decided to stay here tonight. And so, yeah, Leo's there, and then he's like, "Can I come in?" And I was like, "Absolutely not." And then he, like, pulls out a cell phone, and I thought he was going for a gun, but that's ridiculous because most people, when reaching inside their pockets, are actually not going for guns, but I've seen way too many movies. And so, anyway, he picks up his phone, I pick up the phone in here, and then he's like, "I think that we should team up against Sam McGee." And I was like, "That's wild, my friends are coming here, I'm gonna ask them," and then he left his number.
Thank you.
Also, Ticking Man told him to go away. You can see it kind of ran in the window.
Huh. Yeah.
Right? Telekinesis. It's wild. Are both of you still discovering powers still? Because I didn't really know I could do that until...
You can still
that
see
moment.
Golden Gate Park right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But nothing seems to be happening at Golden Gate Park at the moment. It's been pretty quiet.
I think for the most part, the thing I'm very, very good at is apparently being dead.
Do you... I don't know if that's the best idea right now.
You were just asking about powers. That's
Yeah.
the thing I'm good at.
And I guess that's one way to get information. There's got to be a different way, right?
Yes,
Right?
there are many different ways, varying levels of reliability. There's Jasper, who's, well, not on investigation at the moment, or on the investigation and a large amount of caffeine. There are Memoria, there are other contacts that we haven't. Then it's yes, me being dead.
And I've been exploring things with Bo. So there are other powers that have previously been untapped, but are also options.
How's Bo been
After that majestic piano recital.
Well, when you emerged, when you got the phone call, I'll give you this piece of information. When you emerged when you got the call that, or the message that there was a necromancer at the store, when you emerged from your bedroom, Bo was sitting at the piano, staring at the keys. And when you began to leave, you closed the door and he wasn't following you. But when you got to the lobby, he was there, and the two of you got into the car. But what you've noticed is since the moment he got back to your apartment, when you arrived, he has not left the piano that you purchased.
What previously had been a contentious thing for Bo, specifically the piano, has now, I believe, become a gateway into a gateway of communication with him. I feel that there's something that he has gotten past and wants to explore more, which I've been trying to do with him this entire time. So at least there's that. And that's also something that you gave us, Juliet. Piano. Well, not gave, but, I paid
Costco.
for it. Costco, but you got it ordered and delivered quite efficiently. And then she goes over and pats your hand.
This is weird. Juliet still does not know how to
Process.
process this.
I'm so glad to hear that
But she holds your hand.
Bo was opening up.
So am I, actually. It's been a study of frustration this entire time to try to connect in some way, to know more about him. I mean, I've brought it up before in the same way that you both know your companions, your guys.
I think you know more about yours than I know about mine. At least now. You know about the piano.
I mostly guess the ticking man.
Why does he have...
Olives?
Yeah.
We should focus on Leo. Yeah, let's do that.
Ivy's gonna get up and put the kettle on.
So y'all are in the store at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I was not standing on the curb.
If
Okay.
you
Then we'll see
start
we'll see the
heading
scene moved into the store while y'all were talking then.
Yeah.
Oh,
I assumed that Ivy coming in
No, I
was
thought we were
I thought you were
already in the
outside still.
store.
We are
Okay,
in the
cool.
store.
That's fine. It's yeah. So we'll see
So
that whole
I'm
scene
going
took place in the
to
store.
make my way. Yes.
If I've been here, then there's already a kettle on. So I'm gonna yell that back at you and just be like, "Oh, I think if you're going back there for tea, there should already be some."
Perfect. Thank you.
right. I believe there might be some orange bergamot back there that might be quite energizing and calming at the same time.
I
If
think
you
we need
understand
that
what I mean.
because it is late at night and I'm not as young as I used to be. I need caffeine.
There is one thing. When I saw Mal and Lucky Rabbit's Foot do, you know, that humming thing that they did where they shared that mask?
Yeah, that dirge thing.
The dirge,
called it.
right, the dirge. That gave me some ideas with Bo. There is something that we were trying out. It did not go successfully, but we tried that before the piano recital, so that might be an avenue of exploration.
Well, you know, they say if at first you don't succeed, you keep on sucking until you do succeed. Could I trouble you to carry that kettle in?
Yes, of course. So it seems to me there's two things we can do. We can either choose to team up with the necromancers,
No.
or we could choose to team up with Sam McGee.
No.
Yeah, screw that.
But I mean, I could make an anonymous survey on Survey Monkey if we need to vote anonymously.
I don't think it needs to be anonymous, and furthermore, we're
I just
Mal
wanna-
notwithstanding an even-numbered group.
Very, very true. Right.
I mean, very straightforwardly. Fuck Sam McGee. Oh, thank you.
Right. It seems that there's a lot of cons for both of these choices. I guess we can try to find some pros.
Any particular book of prose, or is there a professional that you think would be helpful in this matter?
You get a small giggle from Juliet. That's
It's late and punchy.
Because, okay. Teaming up with Sam McGee, we have made some. We've explored that avenue a little bit, haven't we? When we gave him that ghost that we could not control and that was harmful to others and then also to themselves.
Yes, and then he lied about my wife.
Yes, there is. Like I said, there's a lot of cons.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cons here.
So he did lie about his wife, but as far as we know, he has every interaction we've had with Sam McGee has ended in conversation. It's not like he's gone and attacked someone.
Probably because he
Nervous
appreciates his
giggles?
own
Are you all right?
hide.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. Do you want the
I'm
jasmine
still
or the orange
shaking from the
bergamot?
hug.
Jasmine or orange bergamot?
I show
There
you
go.
affection all the time, Juliet.
It just,
I mean, I didn't even fire you over the copier machine. Obviously,
true.
I have.
I don't know. It just, this is the first time I felt like it meant something. Anyway,
Well, then I
every
apologize for that.
It's okay.
I would want you to feel valued. Because you are.
Can I hug you right now?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Of course you can.
And then she goes over for a real quick hug. Like she didn't return it the first time, and like her brain is finally caught up to everything. But yes, Sam McGee. Every interaction we have had with him has ended peacefully, which means that he might be able to be reasoned with.
Equally true of Leo.
True, we've just had less interactions with Leo.
Exactly. And not that many fewer.
But don't
What,
they
2 and
hunt
3
our
is
Geist?
Doesn't sound.
You can make a
Oh.
roll, see
Yeah.
what you know about underworld.
You would
'Cause
be the best at that role too.
You would have probably from,
Occult.
in all honesty, probably from talking to Niles, you might have an idea. At this point, being dead for as long as you've all been, being members of the Bound, it's likely that you would have kind of gotten the rundown of what to look out for, especially when you made friends with Niles. So I would say go ahead and make a roll. I'll set the difficulty at 2. And I'm going to say this is going to be an intelligence lore check. And feel free to spend willpower for a +3 dice. Because that's always a...
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to.
I say do it.
I
for this
put
one.
too many things in wits and not enough things in intelligence.
I do that.
That real.
That was my character sheet when I was born. Did not prioritize the int stat.
My build is garbage.
Okay, so I've got 3 successes and an exploding.
An exploding die.
I'm back.
Hi, welcome back, Reeve.
Okay, so
Like I
3
said,
successes.
3 successes is fantastic. So you, so you know how Reapers consume ghosts and essentially regurgitate them in the underworld? Necromancers do the same thing, but they don't regurgitate them. Necromancers can sometimes be confused with Eaters of the Dead for that very reason, but necromancers like to manipulate the energies of death, specifically to enhance and gain power. They aren't inherently evil, but we'll just say that they kind of are. The thing is they do not view ghosts as people. Typically, necromancers will see the echoes, and in many ways, this is the unfortunate dichotomy that you hear. This is something that Niles would have definitely talked to you about with 3 successes. The thing is ghosts are in fact not the people who they are not the wandering spirits of the dead. They are psychic echoes of people who have moved on. However, they still have feelings and they still have memories. They are, in every sense of the word, people. Necromancers don't see it that way. Necromancers see a psychic echo of a soul that's passed on as residual death energy to be taken and manipulated for their own gain. And so, as a result, they are kind of across-the-board enemies to everybody who operates. They're enemies to the Eaters of the... They're enemies to... Perhaps except for the Eaters of the Dead in the sense that Eaters of the Dead are trying to fight for the same resource. But Reapers don't like them, and Geists definitely don't like them. Reapers, would probably have an ambiguous dislike towards them. They just kind of like, oh yeah, necromancers. But for the most part, because Reaper's whole thing is ghosts don't belong up here.
Mm-hmm.
They should be consumed in the underworld. Where the necromancers piss off Reapers is they rob them of the opportunity to do that.
Right, they consume them upstairs.
Yeah, they get rid of them up above.
And become more powerful.
And yes, also Reapers as beings that are living know too much, which necromancers being that they're alive know too much.
And let's not forget the way that Leo looked at Miss Lily the first time he was here.
Spotted her, looked right at her.
Yeah.
Yes.
From what I have learned, I would think of Reapers like being a part of the food chain, perhaps like a lion type of a thing, and necromancers being the dentists that go on safaris, glory hunting scavenge hounds.
Butcher garbage.
Yes, hunter garbage that know way too much.
Well, we don't have the capacity to take on either of them without one or the other.
Exactly.
We really do just have to pick the devil we know versus the devil that we don't.
Yes, we'll have to choose a nope out of the nope pile.
Yes.
In that case, should we arrange a meeting with Leo?
Yes.
No.
Just to see.
At the same time.
I'm just gonna leave this here, right in the middle between the
Slide
two of
this
you.
phone number across the
and
table.
I'm a she. Juliet's a she. So
Meetings are free. We took one with Sam McKay.
The thing that I worry about is that Leo seems to be very astute and a collector of information.
Yes.
If we give him another safe opportunity to be around our Geist, he will utilize that.
Yes.
And that will be a deficit for us.
Yes, it's almost certainly true. Doesn't mean it's not worth the risk. I'll do it.
None of us are going to do this alone anymore.
So I'll have you nearby.
Speakerphone?
And at about that moment, you hear boom, boom in your purse.
Oh, just a moment. Just
Oh, at this time.
well, might be my mother or my sister.
Family.
It's
I know
an
they're both Phoenix, Arizona. They don't have any time zones there or something. They call it all times of
Oh
night.
yes, it's about to shift from daylight savings to standard. Don't forget.
It is not a number you have in your phone book. It's a San Francisco number, and it's familiar.
Okay. Hello, you've reached Betha Cravinia Harris, proprietor of Craven Crystals. 3 locations to be decided.
You just hear on the other end of the phone, just heavy breathing.
Hello?
Is this a part of your prank?
I'm sorry. Your voice sounds Who is this?
It's not a prank, is it? You just hear the whisper, this shaky voice on the other end of the phone.
Who's that?
Not a prank.
Michelle?
Hey.
And then the phone clicks, and you see end call blinking on your phone.
I think that was Michelle Curiel. Because I don't do pranks, and the only person that spoke of pranks that I can remember was with Michelle when she thought that our video show would go epidemic or whatnot.
I'm going to just side by
here.
side the number. Yeah, no, that's Michelle.
It's Michelle.
I call her back.
Yeah.
The phone rings and rings and rings and rings until the voicemail picks up. Hi, you've reached Michelle Curiel. If you're interested in piano lessons, go ahead and leave your message, and just continues on through until you hear beep.
Hello, this is Ivy McDermott Preston. I saw you earlier today. You just called one of my associates, and on the off chance this is one of those incredibly old school landlines attached to a voicemail where you can hear people's voices, I'm leaving this number. However, no one else in the world really uses voicemail. So hopefully I will speak to you soon and find out what this was regarding. Please feel free to call me back at this number. Thank you. Night. Nothing.
She sounded incredibly distressed, and she asked if this was one of our pranks. Why would she do that?
I don't know, but I think
Leo was here,
Yes.
right?
Yes. But he hasn't been here ever since you got here. It's been 20 minutes. It's entirely possible that he could have made it to her. I know nothing about necromancers. I don't know how they travel. I don't know how fast they travel. I don't know how.
We know that they are in a group. It's a possibility that they might have followed us there.
Is all of this to say that you would like to go do a wellness check?
Yes, please.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
It might not be the necromancers.
Only one way to find out.
So we can move on to the next scene if you want.
Yes, let's do it.
By the time you pull up outside of Michelle Curiel's house, it's close to 3 a.m. And the first thing that you notice is hers is the only house on the street that is completely dark. There is no porch light, no lights inside. It looks like the power is just off in the house. And as you all begin to approach the house,
Cell phone flashlight.
Okay. The first thing is as you turn on the cell phone flashlight, the front door is open. The screen is torn.
Ow!
Like something has torn through the screen itself.
I got glass in my hand.
There is on the front porch, just on the front porch area, you see the porch light has been disintegrated. there's just crunched glass all over the front part of the porch. But that's when you notice the windows, the two windows that are also in front of the house, behind the blinds, where Betha was when you guys were finishing off, like talking to her and whatnot. There appears to be the glint from your cell phone, the glint of broken glass in the grass. And as you guys are all approaching, the door is also completely open into a dark house.
Miss Curiel.
And there's no reply.
It's Ivy. We're coming in to check on you.
Right. Oh, this is like every horror movie ever. I mean, we recognize that fact right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, I will go first since I'm ineligible for Final Girl. And I head in, being extremely non-binary the entire time.
I mean, all I remember is don't split up the party.
There's the crunching sound of glass as your wheels push over them.
I'm now much more careful, and I sort of lightly have my fingers on the rims, just so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, what you notice too, as you're pushing in, is it looks like a bomb went off in here. The room that you were in, where the piano lesson was happening, the piano is in the same position as it was, but the bookshelf, you remember the bookshelf and the pictures on the walls, all of it, it looks like an F5 hurricane, or an F5 tornado rather, blew through here. Everything has been thrown all over the place. Glass is laying all over the floor. The sofa cushions have all been torn up, and you see the table has been overturned. This place looks like something blew up. And you instinctively find yourself slowing down as you're looking around, pushing through this. Again, the only noise that you can all hear is the crunching of glass as you all move across the floor. You start to notice every picture frame, those that are still left on the walls, have also shattered. As you move with your flashlight into the living room, it's very similar scene to what you saw in the previous room with the piano. Not quite as bad, but the backyard door, which was a sliding glass door, has been also completely destroyed, with the screen torn open, like something forced its way through. The table, one of the chairs is outside in the backyard and is upside down. And the TV screen, anything that is glass has been shattered in this room.
I'm more looking for body. I'm looking for her body.
You're not seeing any body, but you are seeing the telltale signs of across the glass and across the floor. You stop for a second, and please let me know if this is too much, but as you stop and you look, you do notice for a split second, you flinch thinking that maybe something's crawling on the wall, when you notice plasm just slowly leaking down from the sliding glass door until you see this long mucus-like drip of a long line of plasm until it splats onto the floor down below, where you see all over this place. It looks like the presence of something supernatural has blown through here.
Is there an upstairs?
No, it's a one-story house.
But there is a bedroom.
There's a couple more. There's a guest bedroom and a bedroom and a bathroom.
We're starting to clear rooms. Yeah.
The guest bedroom looks like it was not prepared for guests, so there's just like the cover on the bed and whatnot. But you see the same situation, and the dresser in here looks like it once had a mirror, but it doesn't anymore. The mirror is all over the room. It's the same with the bathroom, and when you move into the bedroom, the crunching sounds give way to the sound of heavy breathing somewhere in this room as you shine your light inside.
Michelle. It's
Michelle?
Ivy.
It's also Betha and Juliet. We just met today.
You called earlier? We're coming in. All right, don't be alarmed.
You see the closet door slowly start to push open as the very familiar manicured fingernails appear, and fingers wrap around the side of the door as she pushes the door open. The woman that emerges from the closet, the expression on her face, she's clutching something to her chest, but the expression on her face, every bone in your body tells you she saw something tonight. Yeah. You're starting to piece this together, but you can see how pale her expression is, the almost blank stare, the terror that she looks like she might be, if you remember when we left off with Bonnie, she went into shock.
Yeah.
You're seeing it, the clear signs of shock on her face as she comes walking out. And for a moment, it takes you a second to realize that there's this, at first you just thought it was marker, but you realize there's this long trail of blood going down from her palm down to her elbow as she's clutching something to her chest like this.
How are Tiki Man Bo and Miss Lily?
They're moving around, but Bo is taking particular interest in the plasm that's dripping.
Yeah.
And is kind of regarding it. Ticking Man doing the same thing. Miss Lily is always very close by to Ivy and is just kind of glancing about, but isn't really responding. Again, these guys are experiencing this in a different lens than you all are, but it looks like they're all very cognizant that something supernatural happened here as well. This place reeks of death energy. That much you all know.
Yeah.
Twilight here, by the way, you're able to see the shatter points of windows that are no longer in existence in this house. This faint wisps of what this place once looked like. The items that were destroyed are still kind of hovering nearby.
When she pushes open the closet door, is she standing or is she sitting?
She's standing.
Okay.
Her hair looks disheveled, and the look in her eyes, you're not sure she would hear you if you spoke to her. But she does seem to see you all as she emerges from the closet.
Come sit down on the bed.
She doesn't seem to have a negative reaction, but she doesn't react. She continues clutching whatever is in her hand.
I'm slowly moving forward and I have my arm out so it is well shadowed as I get closer to just at most take her by the elbow and touch very lightly and just guide her to sit on the bed.
She does kind of, and you guide her. She moves over to the bed and she sits down on the bed.
Could one of you please get a blanket? Yes, thank you.
You're gonna go find a blanket.
Okay, doesn't take you long.
Yeah.
You've been in this house before. You move over to the sofa where one was thrown over the side.
Great. I make sure that there's no debris in it whatsoever. Fold it up.
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
As you bring it back.
Yep.
Put it on their shoulders. Okay.
I'm just going to sit nearby for a very long time because shock.
Was the piano destroyed?
Piano looks like it's the only thing in the room that was left untouched.
Would the sound from the piano reach into the bedroom?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, she is a piano teacher. Music is her life. Perhaps something along those lines would help normalize her. I'll see if Bo feels amenable, because I can't play. I'm going to go into the living room, sit down at the piano, and then look up at Bo.
Bo's looking at you as you sit at the piano, and he's also glancing over to what looks like a harmonica that's laying on the floor. It's kind of like untouched. It looks like it's in the middle of this box that is spilled because the entire shelving unit looks like all the books and everything have been pulled out. So everything that was just resting on the shelf has been thrown onto the floor, and this harmonica just stands out as you sit down at the piano, and he's staring at it.
I get up from the piano and go over to the harmonica.
You move over to it. This was the harmonica that Darren once used to play.
I pick that up and I take that into the bedroom.
Okay. Move into the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A thought. Anyone can play harmonica, right?
I've never tried. I wouldn't know.
Neither have I. Well, Betha kneels in front of Michelle and then does some low notes on the harmonica, and it's just kind of like going through the scales where you just go, doo-doo-doo-doo.
The moment you do that, she has a reaction. You just see her go, and then she reaches out and grabs who's closest to you. Okay, so she reaches out and just grabs you very tightly by the arm and just says, "Don't play the wrong note. Don't play the wrong note. Don't play the wrong." She cracks and starts sobbing, but it seems like it had the effect. It
Yep.
looks like it shook her out of it. And you see her immediately, she buries herself in your side. And she's repeating over and over between choked sobs, don't play the wrong note, don't play the wrong note.
You played all the right notes. Everything is fine. You're safe now. You are safe. Everything is safe now. You're all right.
As you're comforting
Nothing's
her,
getting-
the disturbing sound, if you've ever heard somebody grind their teeth when they're sleeping, the disturbing sound very similar to that, except for it's the bones in her hands. As you see a new fresh line of blood begin to run down the palm, as her hand is trembling as she's clutching something tightly.
So I have to put my hand over her hand
Mm-hmm.
and just.
It's alarming how the strength that she has, and it's like if you had run an electrical current through her muscles, is the intensity of strength in her grip right now. However, your touch might have an effect. So we're gonna make this a roll.
Yes.
I'm gonna give you a bonus die because Betha playing a harmonica was a good call. So get a bonus die from that. I'm gonna make this a. Oh, this would be definitely a straight up persuasion check.
All right.
Socialized persuasion.
Does my charm come in?
I'll allow it this time, yeah.
Thank you. Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, 3 successes. She responds, and you feel, you hear, as you feel her grip relax, you can hear some popping sounds in her finger bones immediately. Like there's like, you have a feeling that that's going to really hurt in the morning as she releases the grip a little bit. And you see her shoulders rising and falling. All of you are watching and listening. Her breath is starting to become a little more controlled. And she pulls her fingernails out of her palm, and she goes, ow, ow, ow.
All right.
I'm gonna go get a washcloth for that or something.
Yeah, you can see the little red crescent
Yeah.
marks of her fingernails embedded into the palm of her hand.
How deep does it look?
Not terribly deep, just enough to cause a little bit of blood to start running down, but enough that it's gone. They've gone in.
Yes,
Yeah,
get that.
washcloth.
We'll clean it up and then we'll.
Soft
take
skin
a
on
look.
soft skin on your palm. So
Yep, but also, and particularly with
fingernails.
musicians, whenever hands are injured, look into the plastic surgical console just to maintain the important.
Okay.
Yeah, Juliet's already scurried off.
Good. All right. I'm letting her work it out. The crying is cathartic.
Can we see what's in her hand yet?
You're not sure. She still has it, but she's loosened up, so you could definitely pull her fingers open if you wanted to.
I'm going to continue working that out of her hand.
Okay. So you,
Lest it be sharps.
as you reach over and you gently start pulling her hands open, it's not what you expected to see. As the fingers pull open, you see, for a second, you're a little taken aback by it, but you realize, all of you, kind of at the same moment, particularly you with your knowledge, that is a lump of fool's gold in the palm of her hand. Still has a little bit of that crimson sheen from a little bit of blood on it, but it's just a lump of fool's gold sitting in her hand.
What? You like rocks.
Yeah.
You like crystals.
Fool's gold is in pyrite.
Mm-hmm.
Pyrite has many meanings. You can actually find it a lot in occult stores. Just out. It's a number. It isn't just fool's gold in the way that you think that it is, where it's like, oh, haha, fool on you. No, it's like a thing with success, and then also prophecy. I've seen people scry with pyrite before.
I mean,
Can I do a lore check on why, after all of this,
Yeah.
that it would specifically be that out of all the crystals?
I would say
No problem.
this is going to be unusual, but I would say this is a wits lore check.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got that.
And And I'm going to say it's got a scaling difficulty.
Okay.
So it'll start at 1, and how many successes you get will determine how much information you're about to uncover.
Okay. Wow. 1 success. Because 9 and 10s, right? Not 8s.
8, 9, 10.
8, 9s, and 10s.
Okay, 3 successes.
Okay. So what was your question specifically?
Why specifically that like any kind of like a historical thing or like a like a calling card kind of a thing where it's like pyrite.
I mean,
because I'm wondering if this was because it's either Sam or it's the necromancers, and I'm wondering if there's like a necromancer thing where they leave behind pyrite.
I mean, well, in we live in California, and 5th grade California history is like, I mean, I'm not going to presume how old either of you are, but they made us all go to field trips where we would pan for gold because of the 49ers that came over here.
I'm from Connecticut. This is not my background.
So yeah, you like they take you on field trips where you it's actually pretty miserable because you're out in like a river and you're like, I'm gonna find gold, and then you don't, and you find pyrite instead. And they make all the 5th graders do this every year.
All right, let me give her the result of the die roll. And as she's telling you this, you're starting to get the distinct impression that there's no inherent mystical quality that would...
So it's not being used as a protective stone.
You don't think so. However, she is clutching it like it is.
Okay.
You get the impression that on what you guys know as members of the Bound is that once you've passed through that eye and have come out the other side of death, what you now know is there are, in fact, you know the significance of anchors, of belief, of the way we attach ourselves to objects and how our emotions fuel things, sometimes prohibiting us from moving on. You know that sometimes in the case as where Betha was going with this, it is entirely possible, especially if there's necromancy involved. It's entirely possible that something like this could be used as a talisman of some kind. You don't get the impression that this has been used as a talisman of some kind, but you definitely get the impression that on an instinctual level, she somehow knew to her animal core that this was going to save her.
Other uses of pyrite, protection from environmental pollution and healing. I mean, of the protection stones, it's not necessarily the first one I go to, but it is definitely an effective one.
Do we sell pyrite at our store?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys would definitely sell pyrite at your store.
Great.
I just put my hand over hers that's holding the pyrite. What sort of state of the sobbing or shock? Like, where is she?
She's calming down, but when you put her hand over the pyrite, it's kind of like it's the same reaction you would get if 2 people were drowning and one was reaching for the other person's life jacket.
Yeah, I'm putting it over and not picking up.
Yeah, and
just
still
she
tenses when you do that. She's and she's holding your hand tightly now.
You're safe now. It's just Mazubin. What did you use this for, Miss Kira?
He was shot. He had a bullet hole.
Okay.
And then he saw this and then he left.
Okay. That's very good, thank you. What else do you remember?
You see immediately when you ask that, you see her face twist as the tears come back and she starts shaking her head, and you witness somebody immediately who was about to recall, nope, that the fuck away, and she breaks into a choking sob and falls into your shoulder immediately.
I have all the time in the world. I'm not even slightly rushing her.
Okay.
So I'm definitely taking the comforting people thing, which is...
That's fun. How's Ivy handling that?
I mean, differently than Betha would. It's just, this isn't my specialty, but like, look, I've hired employees. I'm not unfamiliar with people crying on me.
Yeah.
But yes, it's...
A moment later, and you see Ticking Man's moving throughout the room and looking around. That kind of catches your attention for a second. But when you glance back to see what Bo is doing, he's staring right at you and pointing back into the other room.
Ooh.
Like he was just waiting for you to look at him.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
And he, like he's in an office, he kind of walks purposely down the hall towards the front door. And then he stops and he raises his bony finger and points at the wall. At the wall, you notice something you didn't see. It looks like, I would say make an intelligence investigation check to see if you can interpret what you're looking at. And this is going to be a scale difficulty as well.
Okay.
So the more successes you roll, the... one sec, let me see. There's going to be some modifiers here. So this is... I'm going to give you +1 die because you saw the way this place looked before it was destroyed. So go ahead and make a roll. And it's also a fresh crime scene, as it were. So...
2 successes.
2 successes. A very large animal clawed this wall.
What?
You see,
What?
There's no everything in your mind. You look at this and you swear you swear you're thinking that you see large talon marks in the side of the wall, like something gripped the wall. Something that large gripped the corner of the wall. And Bo is looking at you with this behind the softly cracked glass of his glasses. He's looking at you like he is waiting for you to
like
realize.
that's some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Essentially, yes.
Bo, good find. Do you? I know this is. How do I ask you this? Do you know what this is? What did this? Was it
make
Sam?
your roll? I mean, you're basically talking to him like, what did this? You're like using your hands, trying to yeah.
It's a synergy and whatnot.
This
Bo, do something!
This might be my first synergy roll with Bo.
I would say this is going to be wits, synergy, and empathy.
Okay.
It's all 3 of those. Bo, do something.
Oh.
I can totally see the ash bob.
Well, the last 2 weeks you and Xander were
It's true.
my turn.
It's true. How many successes?
3 successes.
Damn.
Heck
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Maybe all those wrong.
So you're asking
dinners.
Bo what he thinks it is, and you see he's watching you for a second. And you have a breakthrough.
Whoa! Oh my god!
Bo seems to understand what you're saying. You see he acknowledges and he nods to you. And he walks towards the doorway and he's looking at the tear. Now in twilight, you can still see the wisps of the door as if it was whole. But it's very weak because there's not a lot of emotional resonance. But because of what happened here was so traumatizing, it seems to have caused sort of a splash effect. So you're still seeing a bit of what used to exist in twilight, which is causing this strange sight for all of you. To see broken glass, and yet glass that is still there and reflecting in twilight. You see the screen whole and torn at the same time. Bo moves over to it, and as he moves over to it, you see he's watching you, and then he steps through the screen and then moves over to the wall and puts his hand up against the wall, like he's mimicking the path of whatever came through here. And then he moves over to the bookshelf and he makes a motion like this. And that's when your eyes are falling down to everything that's clattered all over the floor. And then he points to the piano, which is untouched.
Okay.
You're not sure exactly what he's trying to tell you, but you're definitely getting an idea that Bo, even in his state as a Geist that's experiencing the world the way he is, he's able to sort of starting to piece together that something moved through here. And he seems to be aware of it.
Mm.
If this was a naturally occurring thing, this would probably be a lot more difficult for a Geist to be able to experience. But Bo seems to be cognizant of something that has taken place in this room because he's reacting to it. And it is as a being that is mostly just an emotional manifestation, he's still intellectually piecing this together and indicating it to you.
Would it help at all if I did one of my haunts call with him to see what he is seeing, to feel what he is feeling?
No,
I forget the exact.
You could use synergy for that.
Okay.
You could use synergy to get a sense of what he's feeling.
Okay. Let me try to get a
That would be
field check on this.
I'm going to rule that that's a straight up empathy synergy check.
Okay, 3 dice then.
3 dice.
Because no empathy just yet.
I mean, but hear me out.
But you
I think we know where that XP is
Yeah, I was
going.
going to say you've got the
Yeah.
reason behind
Buddy.
it, the RP reason behind it now.
Yeah. I mean, for next future stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, 1 success.
But you're rolling like a demon tonight, so all right. So you get the sense that Bo, there's this, with no pun intended, there's a sense of dread.
Uh-oh.
Bo does seem to have an idea or a thought as to what did this. So you're getting the impression that whatever it is, Bo himself is acknowledging that it's very bad.
Very bad. Betha looks at Bo like, you know, into his eyes, and then goes, was it Sam?
Make one more check. Because that's a very direct question that he's going to have to interpret. So that would be a win. You don't have any empathy, so that would be a straight up wit synergy check.
Hear me out. Willpower.
Yeah, I mean, I've got 3 left.
Do it.
Okay. Then I'll
Second
use-
to last
I
game.
think with the role playing, with the role playing that you're doing, you're probably going to get some willpower back.
Also, like, yeah,
Okay.
root bloom, all that good stuff.
That's true.
Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
totally
yeah,
agree
I'm
with that.
spending a willpower, so...
It's actually true. I'm going to go ahead and
What's
rule
the synergy?
by the way, that's actually, thank you for reminding me, because the truth is the root and bloom has been really playing havoc with you right now. You've been choosing your Geist life more than your actual life, which we've already indicated that the business is kind of suffering from that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rule that you can have this willpower point for free.
Oh, yay!
Because you would have gained a willpower point anyway for having that conflict and that side in your character. So go ahead and just gain that 3 dice.
Okay. Cool. All right. Wit synergy, willpower. Yeah. Oh, okay. 2 exploding.
That's really good news.
3 successes.
Roll your 2 exploding dice. Damn.
3 successes.
3 successes.
Yeah.
You ask, was this Sam? And he looks at you for a moment. And his hand lowers and he's staring at you and he looks like he's looking at you like he's trying to understand what you said. And then
I kind of like tip a fake hat.
he
and
reaches
put on
up. He reaches up and does the tip too and nods. And you feel a chill immediately because now all of a sudden, this old man, you look around this room and it looks like something huge came through here. And Bo is just staring at you like he's waiting for it to dawn on you. And in that moment, the two of you share this moment where you both are finally realizing how incredibly dangerous this being is, as the two of you both take stock of how this room has been destroyed, and that it's the size of a grizzly bear's paw on that wall.
Oh, wow.
So it's about that big.
Yeah. Betha looks at Bo and then bows.
He does the nod. It's the most human interaction you've had with him so far. But the two of you, he kind of stares at you too, like he's also acknowledging, I understood that. Kind of like the two of you are having a moment where you're like, there you are. And he nods back to you.
Yeah. Betha is both terrified and elated
Yeah.
because like this is the biggest breakthrough that has ever happened with Bo, and oh my god. And they have to get the hell out of here. We can't stay here.
So moving into the room. So let's real quick, because that was a few minutes of event. What's happening in the room with her while they're investigating?
I'm playing nurse to Ivy being doctor.
Okay, she's
I'm
letting
also
you
looking up.
wrapping up her hand.
Yeah.
You put a little bit of iodine in there to sort of make sure it's all.
Yes.
Um,
Lying her down.
okay, she lies down.
All right. Here's my plan. I'm going to stay with you tonight so that you have someone to watch over you and so that you're safe and you can sleep well. Okay, you need to get some sleep now and that'll feel better and I'll be here to keep you safe. In the morning we can work everything out, but for tonight, you're going to sleep, all right? You've had a very big evening.
She's
Staring
at you, and you get the impression she's hearing what you're saying, but she's not responding. She's just
Content of words doesn't matter. I'm
Nope.
maintaining
It's-
even tone
the
and
even tone
just not
is
stopping.
that's how she's responding, and she's like someone's playing some soft music, and she's just watching you
I
talk.
think in the morning, we'll see about getting some people in here to sweep up the class so you don't have to worry about any of that. We're going to get everything cleaned up and everything will
Okay.
be all right. Like, that is
Okay.
exactly what Ivy is
Smart.
doing right
Okay,
now.
cool. And what are you doing,
Man,
Juliet?
honestly, I think that Juliet wants to make no sudden movements. I think that she wants to stay here in case Ivy needs her to go get anything. But also, she's like looking around the room and clocking the damage in here and trying to do as much as she can from her position.
Something blew through here.
Yeah.
I mean, the more that you kind of look around, it's the scene is so chaotic. You cannot imagine. Like you're trying to piece together what it could have been.
Yeah.
And it's at about that point as you're walking out. Oh, what's up?
So, when we were in this apartment the first time, Malcolm had tried to sneak into this room to look for something.
Mhm.
What can I see from the closet? I mean, if the place has been torn up.
Well, the
do I
closet's
see-
completely dark.
Okay.
So
dang
you
it.
have to well, you got your cell phone.
Yeah, it's true. Can I turn it on the closet?
Mhm.
I want to
She
see.
does tense a little bit as it gets darker in the room.
Yeah.
But as you turn it towards the closet, you just see rows and rows of clothes with some shoe boxes and stuff.
And they're all
storage.
very neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
The closet looks untouched.
Okay. Great.
You do see some shoes that look like they've been maybe pulled away from the bottom, probably where she was hiding.
Can I want to squint from where I'm standing. I'm not going to go any closer because I just don't want to disrupt the space too much. Do I see any Lettermans?
Ooh, that's a good question. From where you are, I would say make a perception investigation check, which is fun to say because it's such a D&D.
It really is.
With plus resolve plus investigation.
Yeah,
Okay,
so...
Meanwhile, I have my phone up because I also have a phone which also has a flashlight.
So when you see it go dark, you immediately just...
I'm going to get that up.
Okay.
And actually, while we're at it, why don't I just postmate some lanterns very quickly? They'll get over to us in about 20 minutes, and then you'll have plenty of light.
I was going to say, do you want me to use Firestarter to create?
I think
that's a bad
I
idea to try this right now.
incredibly don't, but thank you.
All right.
Okay, so one explodes,
explodes.
making that 3 successes.
You do. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great.
There is a jacket in here, yes.
Wonderful. I'm just gonna clock that,
Okay.
but do nothing else.
Not doing a picture. All right, that's fine.
Well,
with 3
I
successes...
have the phone right there.
I mean, we can go closer. Fine, I'll take a picture.
So with 3 successes, I'll tell you that it's her size.
Yeah, great.
So it's probably hers from when she graduated. Yeah.
Cool.
It's in the very, very back of the closet.
I would, what Juliet is thinking when she sees that is that if we are going to go see Donald Fry, I think it makes the most sense to see if we can get that jacket out of here with us to either use as hey, we hung out with Michelle, or see if it sparks anything in her.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you. Yeah, with 3 successes on your check, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
It might be. Yeah, that would be useful. I think getting a conversation with with this guy would definitely. It would be help if it was linked to Michelle somehow.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that he would pay a little more closely attention to what's going on.
Makes sense.
But about that point is when you're going to hear Betha come back into the room very
Great.
quickly. The heavy footsteps of Betha moving very quickly as she enters the right as you finish saying, we're going to get some Postmates in here, and then you come around the corner.
Right, so we have to get the fuck out of here right now.
Whoa.
Now.
What?
Like,
What?
literally, let's just go. Let's not even talk about it. Let's just go.
I'll come with you.
The look on Beth's face, pretty intense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll let y'all...
Yeah, so I
so-
just gently push Juliet, like, you figure that out and come
Juliet
report back.
gets up.
I'm not leaving this humanoid and we're not
The
having this
little
conversation.
interaction we just had where I was like, what is happening? Why are you pushing me? Oh, I see why you're pushing me. Okay, yes, let's go.
We all have to leave.
I don't think Ivy's going to leave.
No. Michelle also. We have to leave.
Do you think you could get her out of here?
I think we're fucking panicking her further if we do that.
Betha, let's step. I'm gonna try and move you into the hallway. And try to get why we need to leave.
Right.
Out of here.
You don't understand. All of this was Sam. And I grab Juliet and take her over to the wall and even show with my hand, like the claw marks.
If you want to make an intelligence investigation check, I think that's what you're good at too, isn't it?
Yes, I am.
Investigative
Okay.
prodigy.
Yes, I am.
Yes, okay.
Okay, let's do this. So, investigation intelligence is what you said?
Yeah.
Can I use investigative prodigy for this?
Yes.
Great.
This is literally investigating essentially a scene of a crime.
Yes.
An
Yeah.
event.
This was extremely a crime.
Yes.
And I would love to know why that piano was untouched. I'll be honest.
If we waited until the shop here, I was out of shock.
I mean, the difficulty here is at one scaling difficulty, depending on how many
2
successes.
successes.
What you get as she shows you the marks on the wall is all of a sudden you are able to imagine it in your head of what might have happened here. It goes against all logic, but as you're looking at those marks on the wall, the first thing that comes to your mind is animal. And it must be grizzly Kodiak-sized animal.
Yeah.
Because the claw marks, I mean, you can actually, as she's showing it to you, as you kind of lean in, you can actually see whatever penetrated the drywall went right into the wooden frame, and you can see some of the fiberglass inside torn up. Like something grabbed the house as it was moving through. And that actually causes you as an investigator to glance up towards the ceiling where you see some of the stress on the wall. Whatever caused these claw marks pulled on the wall enough to actually cause probably some fractures in the wood, because now that you're getting a good look at it, you see her regarding this, and you're kind of spotting at the same time because you have the instinct to look for it, Juliet, but as you take a step back, you notice this wall is actually warped. Like it's been pulled.
Oh,
like,
boy.
Whatever pulled itself into this room actually almost tore this wall down doing it.
Oh, jeez.
And the claw marks that it left behind are the shatter point. And that's when your eyes fall to the rest of the room. And all that you can piece together is that the only reason why that piano might have been untouched is she may have been sitting at it because she's still alive. But this looks like the point of contact of whatever happened in this room.
Right.
We have to get out of here. 3 reasons. 1, Sam did this. Bo told me. Bo told me. Told me this. 2, he might come back. 3, those necromancers are hunting powerful, supernatural things. There's no reason why they wouldn't come here. There is no way this did not make some kind of impression that they probably know how to follow. We have to get out of here now. I know she is traumatized. That really sucks. Been there before, but we have to get her and go out.
I know you're scared right now, but if what I'm seeing is true, and if what Bo is saying is true, and what you're seeing is true, and that means Sam was here, and that means that she ran into Sam, and we can't leave her behind. We can't.
We're not leaving her.
No, but like, if I agree, we can try and talk to Ivy and see if they can get her to move, but if they can't, we can't go anywhere. You understand that,
Have
right?
Ivy call some bodyguards or something, people with big muscles, and just like pick her up like a baby, and then we get her out of here.
I'm gonna
Becca-
text you. Or we're putting on a Discord call right now, and you can text your responses because you're next to Michelle.
Yeah, so you're just gonna give me audio?
No. Well, I like. You have AirPods. You're rich.
Oh God, I have AirPods too.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Are we cool with doing that?
Yeah, I'll just stick one of those in my ear, and we're talking.
The whispered voice, the urgent, hushed voices you're hearing in the other room now become a little more clear as you slide the earpiece into your ear. She's still awake. She's just looking off to the side and still clutching the fool's gold.
Yep, she's lying down. She's breathing.
Yeah.
She's doing the thing. She's got a blanket.
Ivy, Sam was here, and
It's
we think
time to go.
And you don't have to worry. You're not going anywhere.
What
I know
are you
it's been a
texting
very difficult day.
Oh,
This
dear.
is the words. I'm
Love
doing the half conversation thing.
that you're very cool.
It's a fallacy to believe that she is safe in this home. We have to get her back to either the shop or maybe to your high rise, which is practically its own island.
I know it's very important to be where you are when you've had a difficult experience like this. Everything's going to be okay right here. You're in familiar surroundings.
Let her know I have so many protection stones back at the shop. I will shower her in pyrite. We have to go.
I mean, I think that is, if there's any tactic, it's we have a lot of pyrite.
We have pyrite, we have black onyx, we have black tourmaline, we have everything that she could possibly want and feel safe with. And perhaps there's a picture or a blanket or something that we could wrap around her to make her feel safe. But this is not a safe location, as you can see, even just structurally speaking.
It's very late. We're just going to get you some sleep, and you'll feel better in the morning.
I have Xanax. Do we want to just knock her out and then take her to the shop?
There's no more response. Ivy has spoken.
Juliet is the youngest of this group, and she's just looking for orders. She's torn right now.
In the morning, I'm going to stay here with you.
She just lays there.
Yep.
She's glancing at the window nervously. The window that has no glass. She's just staring at this window, which occasionally the curtains will sort of flutter a little bit. And she stares and just looks out into the dark.
I'm actually surprised the police haven't come yet, to be completely honest. And then how are we going to explain this to them?
Usually I'm all for the authorities, but I don't think we should call them in this situation.
No, I'm just saying I'm surprised that they're not here. There's no way this didn't make noise.
Yeah, that is weird. Julia pulls out the number, Leo's number, that she's like crumpled on the pieces, and she puts it down. She's like, we can't leave them, so I guess we're staying here.
Well, since Ivy won't move her, then I guess we have to. This is not a defendable position. The shop is.
Gotta work with what we've got. And maybe we've got some friends.
They're not friends.
Juliet's gonna call the number. I'm forcing you into this conversation now. Juliet's gonna fail so
There's
hard,
a beat.
and I'm gonna. Oh man.
There's a beat, and you let they're not friends hover in the air, and you watch Juliet just take the cell phone and start dialing the number.
I smack it out of her hand.
Smack!
I smack
unless you want to resist it.
The cell phone out of her
Yeah,
hand.
I want to resist that.
Oh, it's an attack.
Okay, let's
So,
go.
this is
You are
gonna
now
be-
in combat.
So this is a straight up resistance roll.
Okay.
So all you're going to do is you're going to take your dex plus unarmed.
Dicky Man versus Bo.
Bo and Dicky Man are just watching
Ice.
this.
R2 Dread Geist. Anyway.
So this is going to be a roll. I'm going to have you roll. It's not melee. It's there's unarmed, right?
Is there brawl?
It should be brawl. It should be Dex plus brawl.
I do.
Yep.
Yeah, there's brawl.
It'd be
it's
Dex plus brawl. It's
Brawl
not.
and weaponry.
What is your defense? Juliet?
My defense
Defense is
is
right there,
2.
two.
All right, so we're gonna skip initiative because this is just an
Yeah,
out of
this is
combat
literally.
thing.
a-
However, your defense is 2, so I'm gonna raise that by 1 because you're trying to slap her hand away, slap the side of her hand. So take your Dex plus brawl and minus 3 dice
My Dex plus brawl minus 3 dice. Then
because it's a resistance check.
Then it's for me to roll.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my Dex is 3, and I don't have anything in brawl.
So it's a chance die. You get to roll 1 die
okay.
to succeed or fail, and if you roll a 1, it's a
Is
botch.
this our first chance die?
Yep. It's our
Oh
first chance die
man,
of the
so you're
game.
saying there's a chance.
I rolled a 4.
Okay, so you don't succeed, but you don't botch either. But you do slap her hand as she's trying to dial. She forcefully you manage to retain hold of the phone, but she smacks your hand away, and you definitely get her intentions are communicated quite well.
She lets out a yelp, like, ah! I think that when Juliet, has a moment of bravery, you've got, a 30-second window, and right now we're currently operating that 30-second window of bravery. And so you, get a, ah! from her. But then she's, still typing really fast, and she, hits call, and it's ringing now, and she's trying to hold it away from you. And it's on speakerphone.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I've also looped it into the call, so it's a added call that you are on as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And she holds it back.
Extreme assistant. Ding.
Would expect nothing
Rolling
else.
calls.
You two just make eye contact with each other as the phone rings, as you've had this moment of contention. When
This will make it worse.
and almost on cue,
Don't
you hear
do
somebody
this.
answer the phone.
It can't get worse than this.
Can it?
Hi, this is Juliet.
Yes, Miss Singh, I know.
Hi. Betha's here as well, as is Ivy, and I said we'd give you a call back.
3:30 in the morning. I appreciate your diligence.
I mean, these are pretty serious matters, and so why wait, right?
Something has happened, I take it.
Yes, I can let Betha explain more. I think that she has more insight on what exactly went down here. And Juliet scoots the phone closer to you.
Oh, that 30-second window is so brave.
She slides the phone
It's
over.
shutting
You
down.
as you see this phone, it's like you just see the number on the phone and the ticking seconds on the digital readout screen, and silence on the other end as she hands you the phone.
Yeah.
And that 30-second window is done. And Juliet is done being brave.
Let's not sugarcoat this. I know what you are, and I know what you do. However, there is a problem with a Reaper. And it has attacked a citizen.
Really? Why would a Reaper attack one of the living?
Why don't you tell me? I'm sure you necromancers have a whole story Bible about this.
She would have to have some kind of significance. Something that has something to do with what he's after, or something that he wants.
Did anyone just tell him it was a woman?
No. You already know this happened. Because I didn't tell you the gender of the citizen.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Who am I talking about?
Her name is Michelle Curiel. You've been investigating the death of Darren McAfee. She is the only other lead.
Did you know that she would be attacked and you did nothing?
I didn't know she would be attacked, no. But Sam McGee is unpredictable. Which is why I chanced an alliance between the two of us.
The enemy of my enemy?
It's a little more precarious in our position, but Essentially, yes. He attacked her, did he?
Definitely did.
Well, now in the morning, would you like to take a meeting with them?
In the morning? I suppose that depends. You called me at 3:30. This sounds like it's rather urgent.
Well, then why don't we call it an early breakfast meeting?
And I'm still, like, on these AirPods turned away from Michelle Curiel.
Where is Michelle now?
Safe?
Where
Enough.
did he attack her?
At her home.
He knew where to find her.
Somehow.
Well,
We'll get more information about it in the morning. She's in shock, but she's going to be sleeping soon and feeling better.
you have her?
We do. So how's sunrise for you for a meeting somewhere? Or would that be a little soon?
No, I can do that. And you can choose the place if you like.
We shall call you back.
One last thing. If a Reaper brazened an attack on one of the living, it means he's likely to come for her again until he gets what he needs. Unless he got what he needed. Might be worth discussing that with Miss Curiel.
Yes, once she comes out of shock, we'll be able to ask her more.
At the earliest opportunity, we'll text you an address and time.
I'll be waiting.
Yes, you shall.
Bleep.
Bleep. Because I can't say click.
Yeah.
Juliet slowly takes back her phone.
I think Ravina Harris, catching flies with vinegar since 1985.
It's been working for me all my life. 3 locations to be determined.
Yeah.
A quiet falls over all of you. So in the next scene, because it's 8 o'clock, so we're going to take our 10-minute break.
Is it 8? Oh
yeah.
my god, time flies.
Yes, it does. You guys are getting a
lot.
lot done, though. Oh my god, I can't believe this is an intense scene. This is the first time you guys have gotten into inter-party, like, head smashing. So really, really good role playing and taking care of each other, you guys. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. And keep the lights on. And then you all die again at the end.
Oh, wow.
The end is the beginning, as the end is the beginning, as the end is the
You're like,
beginning.
well, son of a bitch. I thought this was the penultimate episode. Well, fuck it. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go ahead and dive right back into our game tonight as things are starting to really pick up. So while we were away, we went ahead and discussed, as we were coming back from break, we went ahead and discussed how we were going to move the scene along. And the crew has decided that you're going to reach out to Malcolm. And Mal is going to take care of Michelle, which...
Hi, Xander, we love you.
We love you, Xander. We hope you're having a great game with Deborah right now and everybody. They're doing a great charity stream right now, so that's pretty cool. So Mal is going to... Mal, having actually interacted with her quite a bit, has taken it upon himself to sort of calm her down and use the familiarity. And Mal's also kind of leaves all of you. He's like, I'm going to make sure to ask her some more questions about what happened once she feels like she's in a place where she can actually talk.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
The whole soft voice is kind of like your default Malibu medium voice, so this works much better.
Oh, thank you. I've had a lot of practice.
Yes.
Okay.
I've watched. I'll move on.
So Mal is going to take her to the shop.
Okay.
So she and she does seem to actually when she is leaving the house with Mal, when Mal shows up, it's about 4:15 in the morning at this point, and when Mal shows up, he looks very tired, but when he shows up, she actually seems to be somewhat relieved to be leaving the house. As she's being let out, she glances really quick at the room where it all happened, and her eyes fall upon the chipped like fragments of what looks like drywall that's been pulled up. From this angle, she can't see the other side, but she stares at where it's at, and she just moves past it and is led out the door. Mal says he's going to take care, and he says, "Oh, and be really careful with the sexy necromancer."
What? What, are you just saying that because he's sexy? Like, I don't understand.
Well, no, but I would say no, but it's just that, and we just don't know what he can do or what he's interested in doing. What?
This is accurate.
You see, he just goes, "What? Oh, okay."
Pleasing. Anyway.
Where do you all meet Leo?
Sal's coffee.
Sal's coffee. The moment y'all enter
I trust
the moment
Sal.
you enter the coffee shop, he's just pulling chairs off the table as he's opening the coffee shop at 5:30 a.m. and he stops and he sees all of you and he's just like, "Whoa! I thought you liked my coffee. I didn't think you liked it that much." As he takes the chairs down and says,
Good morning.
"Morning."
Well, you know I'm partial to your tea, Sal.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your patronage as always.
How many shots of stuff can I have before the heart palpitations stop?
Well,
Start.
technically, the body can process about 75 cc's of caffeine before it starts wanting to eject it through urine.
And you know, the LD50 is, I'm sure, even higher than that. 5. 5 sounds like a good number. Yeah.
At that point, you're going to be working against yourself. But you know what? I follow the philosophy of the customer is always right. So.
Gosh. Ooh.
I'll just have ginger mango tea. That'd be a nice infusion of vitamin C along with the invigorating effects of ginger to like pop up.
Pop it.
Yeah.
Good life choices, yes.
What can I get you?
Earl Grey breakfast.
Earl Grey breakfast. All right, coming right up. He moves back behind the counter.
Oh, and do you have like a muffin or something? I need to just enter more sugar into the system.
I can pull muffins. I mean, I haven't set the food out yet, but I'll get you something.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And he goes into the kitchen, starts doing the rounds.
Before
Maybe a minute passes, like right when you say before, and the door opens. And
Like-
stepping in,
well done.
dressed in the long black woolen like fine overcoat, and the red tie, the black button up, like it's his uniform with the glossed black shoes and immaculately just like perfectly combed hair off to the side. He steps in looking like, I mean, he looks like one of those people that's like in those holiday commercials of the man that's like going to Tiffany's to buy the engagement ring for it. You know what I mean? Like he looks like one of those handsome, almost too indescript looking kind of gentleman that just walks in the door. He could be in a catalog. He could be anybody. Working both for and against his anonymity as he steps through the door. And as he walks inside, you see him shake his coat a little bit as some water droplets fall off as some of the mist has begun to form outside in an early San Francisco morning.
Something my mother always told me: you can make deals with the devil, but you'll always get burned.
I've been burned before. Good morning,
He
Leo. Thank you for joining us.
clopping footsteps from his dress shoes across the tile floor as he approaches all of you and just says, "Good morning."
We appreciate your flexibility in accommodating us at this God-forsaken hour. Please have a seat.
He slips in and says, "I haven't been here before." And straightens his coat. Says, "Nice place."
Nice. Yeah. You want to find it on Yelp or something?
Yeah, they had 2 5-star reviews, and he's from Portland.
His face
and,
shifts suddenly as you're talking. You see his body stiffen because behind him, 4 Geists have begun to like
3.
loom. Oh, 3, that's right,
Okay, I
because
was like,
Mal's not here.
"Oh."
3 begin to loom close, but he doesn't look back at them, but you see his body posture change as he continues staring at you.
Right, Leo. Who needs coffee when you have Geist?
Exactly.
I'll have a coffee.
Juliet would like, really, she's going to let them do the talking at this table. What she wants to do is she wants to keep an eye on the window because she knows necromancers go in groups, and she wants to just like mentally clock everyone that walks by the store window to see if like anyone's like circling around the block.
It's still completely dark outside.
Weirdly fashionable.
Yeah.
Just like really
Just
sexy.
weird and just really sexy.
It's completely dark
Lots
outside.
of neck.
But you do see that, I mean, being that the time zones have changed, it is going to get brighter earlier now.
Okay. Well,
So-
she's still going to position herself in a way that
Sure.
she can keep an eye on that.
But you're mostly looking at the reflections of you guys in the store lights. What's up?
Betha sees Juliet do that and like position herself and is like, oh. It is going to try to do a non-verbal communication with Bo to check the perimeter.
Okay.
To kind of
No, I
like
just
look.
want to watch this.
Yeah,
so
like,
I just need to see this roll.
you know,
So roll
we're gonna
with-
try it.
roll-
Try it.
Roll
to,
with
like,
synergy and let's just see how many successes you
We're about
get.
to roll here.
Yeah, just
Yep,
with
there we go,
synergy.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, wits synergy.
Wits synergy.
Mhm.
Whoop. Okay. My wits is 4.
This will be interesting.
Where it's just like. One success.
We get a bouncer ghost.
Yeah, Bo gets. You kind of glance up at Bo and then glance to the side, and Bo, you're not sure if he's following the instruction you hoped, but he does move away from the table. He pauses and looks at you, and then moves away from the table.
Yeah.
And he goes and stands a little closer to the door.
And then like Betha does a little.
Leo, however, has just been with his hands folded, looking at all of you. You don't detect any defiance or like intimidation in his posture, the way he stares at all of you. Instead, he comes off like he's waiting for one of you to begin.
So,
You're you go.
no, please.
You showed up alone.
In the interest of transparency, no, I did not.
How many of you are there?
My transparency only goes so far.
We're transparent.
Your friends are transparent.
No, don't be clever. It's too early for that.
What else?
I would like. Is there a way I can have Ticking Man use like intimidate?
Have you met
just-
Ticking Man? The answer, yeah.
Kicking Man is intimidating.
Yeah. Like
Um,
he could literally put a smile on and juggle some oranges, and the guy would be like, ah!
Like,
Olives. I was gonna ask Sal
if
for olives.
Bo is the Fury, Ticking Man is the Shining.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh,
Oh,
by the way, did you hear that they've started this side note? I've been wanting to tell you this for the past couple of days
Okay.
because I read it and I was like, oh, I should tell Sam that they've begun production on the next Mad Max because Sam would want to know.
I do want to know. Best film of the decade. So good. Makes me love action
That
films.
was really good.
Continue. Intimidate things. I know. I clocked it. I've seen it. I already seen it.
Oh man, now
It's-
I'm
it's
getting
in
nostalgic
Mad
of
Max.
that one.
Fantastic.
The last time I ran Chronicle, by the way, last time I ran Storyteller System was a one-shot Mad Max game.
Oh,
Good-
yeah. I remember that.
Good times.
Uh,
That's
did
when
we
I
roll?
first played with
What was
that.
that? No, what was my
Nice.
roll? What's my roll for intimidation for Ticking Man?
Oh, it's got to be a power, right?
So, in this case,
Mm-hmm.
I might say. Honestly, it's probably going to be your intimidate
Oh
because
no.
Ticking Man doesn't truly understand.
That's fair. So yeah, what I would like to do, then what Juliet would like to do is that she would like to conjure the feeling of intimidation as much as she can, so that hopefully Ticking Man will feel it.
Just synergize
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Nice. Clever.
Um,
Thinking with portals.
So then what I'll do is we'll hodgepodge this a little bit. What I'll do is I'll give you 2 bonus dice to your intimidate check
Okay.
and make this a straight up. This would be a manipulation intimidate.
Cool. I feel like those are my two Where's my intimidation on here?
It's not gonna be.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, it's in fact not.
It's-
I have 3 dice
This
because
is-
you gave me 2
Okay, then this is
extra.
going to be a chance die. Because it's a re-
Can I
it's-
use willpower?
Do you
Yep.
not have anything in intimidation?
I have nothing
No.
in intimidation.
I'm gonna caution
Yeah,
you not
I-
to use a willpower because you'll still
Okay.
get it. You'll
I have
against
one
his
in it,
resistance against intimidate. You're still gonna get a chance die.
Okay, so I'm only rolling 1 then.
Yeah.
Great. Which one of you have failed me the least dice? All of you have failed me at least once.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me, Jesus.
Oh, thank God, it's a 4.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Fine.
So you start thinking about wanting to intimidate this man, and
It's okay, he's not saying anything. I just want him to speak first because
When
I
you-
know negotiations.
when you glance up as you're trying to get like Ticking Man to understand that you're trying to sort of like bring forth that this death god that hovers around you that brought you back from the other side, and as you open your eyes, Ticking Man's doing this
Oh, no.
with this big cracking grin across his face as he's looking at you.
You tried, buddy.
Leo on the other side of the table can't see him, so he's
yeah.
just watching you kind of react.
Great.
And after a moment passes, he just says, "What else?"
What do you call yourselves? I mean, necromancers, but I mean, is it a cult of necromancers? A cell? Murder crew?
Is this why you called me out here?
No, we're just doing small talk until we can get our espresso and then also our tea.
I prefer to get to the point.
A murder of necromancers. I do like that one.
Murder of necromancers.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's in it for you? My understanding is that Reapers don't usually fuck with your kind.
They will.
Have they?
In the past, it's happened, yes.
So you're moving in advance of a threat. Is that what we're to understand?
A Reaper is not going to tolerate the activities of my group any more than you are.
But you're not first on his list. I'm trying to understand why you want to move now. If you're transparent with your motivations in a way that we understand, then we can possibly make this work. If I have no idea why you're offering help, I distrust you. This doesn't work as well.
You should always distrust me.
Distrust your enlightened self-interest, then.
We're moving against the Reaper now because the time is right to do it. He's working directly against your interests. And now that he's attacked a member of the living, you can see how unstable he is. This one in particular.
In what ways are you moving against the Reaper?
Well,
Transparency's sake.
I'm here.
Or are we your way? Do you
One
not
of-
have more than us?
I do not have the benefit of having died and being brought back from the other side by them. And he angles his eyes up towards the Geist that are behind him. Therefore, this becomes a little more perilous for me and my brethren.
So really, if you don't have us, you have nothing.
Not nothing. But this becomes messy.
What do you have to bring to the table? I think you know enough about the Bound to know what we have available. I won't ask for trade secrets, naturally, but...
Information on how to deal with him.
Well, throw us something. Otherwise, why are we sitting at this table with you?
I need to know that we're working together.
Show us something, and perhaps we will be working together. We did call you, after all.
What would you like to see? What would you like to know?
Have you taken down a Reaper before?
Yes.
More than one?
No.
Was that one more powerful than San Miguel or less?
Difficult to say. Anything that wears a death mask is beyond the capabilities of a single necromancer.
How many did it take last time to bring one down?
What was the collateral damage, indeed?
It was significant. Significant enough that we are now in San Francisco.
Did you have any bound with you in that battle?
No. We avoid you if we can. At least, my cult does. I won't speak for others who practice the art.
Understood. What are your plans with San Francisco, then?
Home sweet home.
And avoiding us?
My thoughts on the subject, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that once this is all resolved, there will have to be an understanding reached so that there can be a coexistence.
But the notion is that that's future us problems.
There is a unstable Reaper at loose in the city. And something tells me, from the way you talk about him, in the interest of transparency, and by the questions you've asked me, this is your first encounter with a Reaper, isn't it?
I think you did your homework on us, because I don't think you're ignorant, and I think you're very careful. So I think you know when we died, and have made your inference already.
I appreciate the vote of confidence, but no, we hadn't gotten that far. It was a little...
Google, darling.
The cause of your death is not as pertinent as to what you're doing next.
But yes, it is our first. Otherwise we wouldn't need the information, would we? And...
Information you've yet to give us.
Well, contingent on us working together, I understand.
Well, now that I know how, with all due respect, and in no way as an offense, how ignorant you are of the situation with the Reaper, I know now what I can tell you that would be of value.
Do you offer something beyond information? And I don't ask to imply that you need offer more, but just to understand if there's some magics here that you have truck with.
There are some magics here that I have truck with. But if this is your first encounter with a Reaper, that tells me that you are new. And if you're new, then information is gold for you. We know things that you probably haven't encountered yet. And I could be a source of information to make your future days a little more understandable.
You don't need to pitch me on the value of knowledge. We'll take that as granted.
I'm happy to hear that.
But you know what it does tell me is that you need us more than we need you. Because new, yes, but also you learn through experience, and as we continue on, we'll get more experience. And with there being 4 of us, I'm still wondering what you're bringing to the table for us. I need a tidbit. I need something to be able to shake hands.
Without our information, what you have right now is all you're going to have when dealing with him.
What do you want?
First, I want Sam disposed of, which means we need to tear him free of his death mask. No small feat, but possible. And then after that,
San Francisco.
not the whole of the city, but definitely a part of it.
Once because of a Reaper, and you're choosing not to move now.
We will do what we have to in order to survive.
Why not just move? San Francisco is Sam's territory. You leave San Francisco, you leave Sam.
Moving is not off the table. And we might. And leave you all to your fate.
We were handling Sam before.
He was handling you.
30 seconds of bravery up for Julia.
You don't know what a Reaper can do. If Sam wanted to, he could have taken Miss Curiel's house and dragged it into the underworld. You would have stepped out her front door and found yourselves in the upper reaches. There would have been a hole, and the living would have rationalized it. Oh, a gas main must have exploded. We've seen them do it before.
In a way, we saw it today. We didn't see any police at Miss Curiel's house.
The living are not prepared to understand what it is you are and what it is I do.
Pardon me a moment. I'll be
Yeah.
right back.
I need you, before your character leaves, to make a roll.
Okay, yeah.
This is going to be a manipulation persuasion roll.
Okay.
Or no, this would actually, no. This would actually be something completely different. This would be,
Right, this is a defense.
this is a composure
Yep.
persuasion roll.
Yes.
And it is, this is going to be a contested roll.
Yes. I'll put in willpower, but I will tell you all, there was one thing I learned on the basis of playing in systems like these, and it is composure rolls are not something I want to win. I put 1 into my composure because I learned from playing fast. And yes,
Same.
indeed, that's
Big
1
move.
success.
Okay. As Ivy moves away from the table, you catch a brief glimpse of his eyes dart to them, and then he looks back away.
What's your interest in Miss Lily?
Who is Miss Lily? You point to the Geist who's following Ivy.
You noticed her the first time. I would say you clocked her out of that and that.
She's very unusual looking for a Geist.
How so?
Her manifestation is subtle, even with that one. And he points at Bo, and he says, yours, your friend. These are manifestations of raw, intense emotion. And he says that you can almost detect like a hint of hunger or admiration in his voice.
Okay.
It's like Palpatine feeling your anger
Juliet
kind of
doesn't
thing.
like that.
You just see there's just
She
an
kinda,
edge to his
shrinks
voice.
next to Babe.
And he says, but Lily, Miss Lily, she's different. She's contained. She's resolved. It's unusual. And I wasn't expecting to run into a Geist either.
Fair.
What were you expecting when you showed up at our place of business?
Honestly,
Transparency.
I just wanted to see what the local charlatan shop looked like.
You know, I'll give you that. Once upon a time, that's exactly what it was.
It's certainly not anymore.
Certainly not.
He's small smile to the side of his face as he regards you. And then he says, welcome to the real thing. What an unfortunate way to get here.
Well, everybody has different routes than others. You chose the way of big game hunter. No, we chose, I don't know, the hard way?
I think as a sin eater, the hard way chose you.
Once you put 5 shots of espresso in something, it tastes terrible. It is also flavored by 4 a.m. Hello.
Do you want to try some ginger and mango?
Oh, I don't know if they would mix at this point. I think I'm in too deep.
Not together.
No, I mean one after the other. It's like toothpaste and orange juice.
Fair enough.
We've already committed, so...
And about that point, Sal approaches and he sets down the rest of the drinks. And he said, did you want something? And you see Leo, without missing a beat, glance up at him and say, hot chocolate, please.
There's coffee a moment ago.
What a cutie.
It's a good thing Mal's not here.
It's a weird...
Because he'd be like, oh.
Such a weird characters that love hot chocolate.
Oh, yeah. He's totally having a...
Hot chocolate is a good choice.
And
Good choice.
He's a bad guy.
So,
He's a bad
He's
guy.
a bad guy.
It's okay, Juliet.
as I was saying, Reapers have the ability of dragging pieces of the world of the living into the underworld. It takes tremendous effort, but we've seen it happen. I saw a Reaper drag an entire building into the underworld. And the 16 people that were taken there, we could not save them. And they starved to death in the upper reaches. We suspect they're there today.
Where was that? Where were you before San Francisco?
Oh, you can read all about it. It was New York City.
How long ago was it?
Just 2 years ago.
So it's a shame you didn't have any bound on your payroll then, because then they could have helped save them.
It's very unusual to come across a bound who knows who and what we are that is willing to speak to us. It was my first indicator that you were new to this. But it's also why I think this is an opportunity for both of us. And I can be honest and not take advantage of the situation. And we can move at your pace. All I want is this Reaper gone and a section of San Francisco for me and my brothers.
You want a foothold.
Yes.
Of course you do. Of course you want a foothold.
Otherwise, they'd just move on, like I said. Juliet would like to text. Well, no, she would like to Google, actually.
New York City.
2 years ago.
Crazy accidents that happen in New York City.
Yeah, just
Sinkhole.
casual.
It comes up pretty easily. It's the third search down. Yes, it happened 2 years ago. A 4-story apartment building.
Great.
Was reported destroyed by a sinkhole.
Wow. Yeah.
Interestingly enough,
Group gets that.
the pictures that are shown show what looks like a sinkhole. And the reporting, just from glancing at it, just very matter of fact. It's almost like the world just was like, yeah, this crazy thing happened. Interesting that you'd never really heard about this. It was kind of like shunted off to the side, almost like, oh, yep, that happened. What a tragedy. Moving on.
Yeah.
What you can't help but noticing in the picture is there's no obvious signs a building was ever there.
Yeah.
And glancing at it, even through somebody who has the ability to see into twilight, looking at this black and white picture, you can't see any indication. I mean, you wouldn't be able to see through twilight in that regard anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, it's described exactly how it is, as exactly how he's described it. It looks like a building was there, and it just.
Yeah. Checks out. I mean, at least we know he's not lying about one thing.
There's, and you see the usual excuses that he has stated: gas line explosion, sinkhole took place, structural damage, 16 lives lost, bodies not found, city apologizes. Like, this whole scandal open, and then it just trails off, like news reports afterwards. It coincides with his whole humanity will just rationalize the hell out of it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, at least.
It's also giving you a snapshot into what Michelle Curiel might be going through right now.
Yeah.
Because she is in the process of trying to make sense of what she experienced. And you're getting the sense that she too, like the living, like you all might have done, were you in the land of the living still, is instinctively just went to the next news story. Or been like, glad that didn't happen to me, moving on.
Yeah.
There's just
going
this.
to eventually land on hallucinogen.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There were
forward.
swamp gases and blah blah blah. So he gets his hot chocolate, and you see him take the top off and start blowing on it as he's watching all of you.
Alright, so I didn't go for the whipped cream then. So, how do we maneuver this specifically? Leaving aside the negotiation for a moment, assuming this works out, it's you give us information and we coordinate an attack? Is that the idea here?
That's a possibility.
What did you have in mind?
Nothing yet. I needed to find out if you were on board and what you'd learned, and then corroborate it with what I know, and then I can have something to present.
You first.
I know that Sam McGee is more than 100 years old.
Yes.
And that there are... You see him pause as like he's considering how to word this, and then he says, ghosts in the underworld that have familiar with him. And it's possible that he is not well regarded by his other Reaper friends.
Why would that be? Too much time on the surface?
That is actually one of the reasons why Reapers tend to become agitated towards their colleagues, as it were. So an excellent guess. But it's true. As a Reaper, this is a ghost that has been given physical form. And so he has the capacity to move about in the lands of the living, much like you do. As someone who was once a ghost and is now something more, the temptation can be strong to move about the lands of the living more often than the other servants of the Chthonian gods would prefer.
And his colleagues think that that's the case with him, according to your intelligence?
Possibly.
Possibly.
I'm going to have to be vague about this one, unfortunately, but I will say that what we know about other Reapers is that Sam's name is known and he is not well regarded. That could only mean that he is the only time a Reaper has a problem with another Reaper is when the other Reaper isn't acting in the best interests of the Chthonian gods.
So you believe in those?
They do. And that's what matters.
How did you rip the death mask off of that other Reaper?
By slaughtering a few of my brothers.
A murder of necromancers.
There can be no gain without sacrifice.
And who do you plan on sacrificing this time around?
I'm contacting you so that the answer to that would be no one.
But in extremis, naturally, us. Which makes sense if our understanding is that we're to be the frontliners with, and I gesture at the ghosts.
Possibly frontliners. You may not need a full battle against Sam. I'm proposing we find out what his banes are. If we can uncover Sam's history and who he was in life and how he died, we can deal with him easily. But we have not gotten any closer to that.
Betha looks at Juliet and shakes her head.
I need everyone
Shakes
who
her
is
head.
casting eyes at each other to make and manipulate a composure. Composure manipulate. I don't think there's any. As you were all trying to keep a poker face, we don't know how he died. And the both of you just glancing across the table at each other. So this would be a composure. Persuasion check? No, this would be subterfuge. This would be composure subterfuge
Wait,
check.
did she say that to anyone but me, though? Am I the only one who has to make it because she was whispering to me?
Oh no, we were making eyes at each
No,
other.
this is
We were all making eyes.
But I mean, do either of you know?
Yeah,
It's pirate. We had that whole
yeah,
conversation
we had
about
that.
pirate.
Yeah, the pirate we know.
Oh, you were. Yes, they were there when she
For the
mentioned
GSW?
yeah,
Okay,
for the
cool.
gunshot and
Great,
yeah.
awesome,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm rolling 4 dice.
Y'all are delightful and have value.
What's the difficulty on this?
This is gonna be a contested roll.
Normally.
Of course.
So.
Yo.
Go ahead and make your rolls. Tell me what you get.
Composure and subterfuge. Yeah.
Oh, thank God, one explodes.
Oh yeah, an explosion. So I got
One
2
success.
successes.
3 from me.
One success.
I've got 3 successes.
He doesn't notice. He doesn't seem to notice when
Yeah.
you guys are. Yeah, 1 success.
He's like-
He doesn't seem to notice.
We also
He continues focusing in on
Yeah.
on.
Betha does this and then picks up her tea. It's like,
Okay, Juliet's just gonna look down really hard at her.
Eyes at the floor. Eyes at the floor.
Yeah, eyes at the floor. Let's just.
Ticking Man's face emerges from the table, looking back at you.
Oh boy. Just.
Yes.
Bo's standing still next to the
inside
door.
sizes.
And he's got his just head angled out like he's looking out the window. He hasn't taken his eyes off of Ivy though. Leo hasn't.
Yeah.
So he doesn't notice all of you.
Yeah.
And then he says, "If we can find out that information, That is our key to dealing with him.
How do you mean?
We need, if we can discover the information of how he died, we will be able to manipulate and have control over the situation.
Is that something that necromancers can do? Or is it just with the sacrifice? Again, I need to at least understand enough to understand if the slaughtering your colleagues is optional or not.
I don't think you do need to know that.
I think I do, because I think if you have the chance, the ones you sacrifice are us.
That does not work in our interests.
Why not?
Because killing you would remove you from your Geist. And feeding you to the underworld would be working against our interests.
Because your interest is our guys.
Typically. In this case, however, it's much more beneficial to share San Francisco. Much more beneficial. My cult has endured enough. And learning the secrets of death, perilous as it is, can be done without angering a crew of Geists and their sin eaters.
Fair enough. I think there's some arrangement that can be made.
A promotion, on...
Probationary ground?
Yes.
Nothing solid. I would never expect that from all of you.
Well,
We can discuss it after we deal with the threat.
just the one last thing. Is there any mechanism of enforcing these kinds of deals, given that you told me not to trust you?
There is, and in no variable of our situation do I see you taking those offers, as they would bind you. So rather than insult you, I figured a word of honor in this situation is probably the best we can do for each other.
I enjoy words of honor. Because then when they're broken, so then will you be.
I am surprised we got this deep into the conversation without a threat.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
I would actually be worried if we did without this whole conversation without one threat.
You are all young at what you do. I'm very capable and very aware of what you are. It's why I am approaching you cautiously. So if it bolsters your confidence to threaten me, then you may do so, but believe me, I am aware of who I'm dealing with.
Fair enough. So, do we leave the negotiations of carving up San Francisco for later?
For your very small foothold that will decide where it is.
I think that is what was expected. But in speaking for my brothers, I can't guarantee they're going to be satisfied with the idea of you dictating where we decide to exist.
But the map doesn't seem like a right now problem. I need to move forward on this. We know there's a clock on that Reaper. So what do we need to get done now so we can keep moving?
And I know that he said that we would not like the ways that you have binding contracts amongst your people, but I would still like to know what they are.
Rituals.
All right. That word means nothing to me right now.
It would require a ritual. One that, from experience, you would not take well to.
You don't know me.
Again, in the interest of transparency and trying to establish the semblance of a relationship with my cult and your crew, I will tell you that the price will be too high for you to pay at this stage in your unlife.
I'm okay with that information.
Understood. Right. So you need to take this back to your cult? I mean, we are roughly agreeing to the terms you set out, so do you need to circle back, or can we get some information, get moving?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the leader.
I don't know how this works. Pirate captains are leaders. They still need votes.
That is my way of telling you we can move forward.
All right.
Okay then.
Well, in that case, I think we'll need to figure hot chocolate.
So what do you all do now?
Do we need
5-minute recess.
Yeah, do we need a powwow?
Just
I think
just
do
a
we need a
real-
I mean, you can
powwow?
basically tell him that too.
Yeah.
Can we take a break?
Yeah.
And can we have a discussion here?
In
Just
fact,
stand over there.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, if nothing else, I need to bloody sleep. We can send him away, do this whole thing later in the day. Or
Maybe
it also gives us
later
time
lunch?
to maybe do other things.
I find that amenable as well.
Lovely.
Great.
Yes, I know that you were also up at this hour, and I imagine even less resilient toward such things than we.
Maybe. But in closing, I will say that if Sam has moved against Michelle Curiel, whoever else you have on your list of people that is connected to this ghost, Darren, I would be mindful. If he's being so brazen to lash out now, it might be because he's becoming frustrated with you all, and he might lash out again.
Yes, we have arrangements with future connections.
I leave you to it then. You have my number.
Not quite, but we're getting there. Good morning, sir.
He stands up and just nods to all of you. As he approaches the door, Bo turns and looks at him. And he moves to open the door, and Bo's ghostly hand stops and holds the door. And he stops and looks at Bo. And then you see something you've never seen Bo do before. You see the cracks that have formed all throughout his flesh up into his jaw. You see they start to come apart like porcelain, falling away from its own surface, like the top of a vase just crumbling, just falls down like this and opens up what looks like you can see inside of his gullet at this point. And it's just his he just has this maw as it opens up, and Bo's stature grows slightly. You see his shoulders become a little more broad, and you were watching this one Geist who has always presented himself as of all the Geists, save from the inky blackness and the paled skin of someone who looks like they died underwater. This is the first time you've seen him exude an appearance of pure terror, as he exudes this like intimidating stance. You get the impression you're getting a snapshot of what a death god can do when he assumes this, because the inky blackness begins to fill the front part, and Leo quickly makes his way out the door. He just pushes the door open and walks right through the inky darkness and straight out into the street at a very brisk pace. And Bo goes back down into his normal form. And he's just standing there by the door as you just see the door close next to Bo. And you see frost has developed on the corners of the window as he continues to stand there.
Beth is like at Bo.
As you applaud, he stares at you for a second, and as you're clapping at him, you start hearing lots of clapping. An arena full of applause suddenly that you are aware of. And it slowly begins to fade away. And Beau's gaze drifts down to the floor like he remembered as well.
Well, I think that went about as well as can be expected. You all right?
I'm so good.
Leo's not that cute.
Oh, no, sexy murdered necromancer is all mouse.
Yeah, that's true.
Just
He's gonna be so
had
jealous.
another connection with Beau.
So jealous. Oh.
What did you say?
It was applause. I believe that Beau,
Master pianist, performed in front of crowds. It was beautiful.
Concert pianist.
Possibly.
You feel chills running up your spine, almost like you just said, almost like what was just said out loud registers.
She looks over at Beau.
Beau's staring at you. You see his form has become a little more defined. There's a little less inky blackness around him. Instead of it being this cloud that's playing across his body, instead it looks like it's just an outline that's licking across the surface of his body.
Yeah. So, good day, bad day type of a thing with everything.
I would say so, but
Sun's coming up now too, by the way.
We should take a quick rest before reconvening.
yes. I think
A quick rest.
I was just picturing Rave just going, hold on 1 second, and just like clicking pause and going to save.
Yeah.
Save game.
Save game.
Oh, I've been spamming quick save ever since you spooked the crap out of Bonnie last episode.
That's fair.
So, with that in mind, I think we have a lot of valuable information that he doesn't know we have, but he knows how to utilize it better than we.
Oh, just a moment. Beth is gonna look under the table to make sure there isn't like a bug or something.
You look under the table, and all you
just
see,
real quick.
all you see under the table is the squatting form of an 8.5-foot tall Geist that is still sticking his face up through the table, and he's just like this whole time. His face has just emerged from the surface enough to look like a bizarre dinner plate.
Yeah.
And
It's fine. We're having our conversation. It's actually we're very simpatico right now. This feels great. Okay, so that's all you see. Great. Good idea. He gets a sneaky one.
I imagine he'd do it by spells or something. We wouldn't even be able to know.
That's what I was thinking too.
But that's fair enough. He has the information advantage.
Mm-hmm.
He's
But-
right.
We have information.
Lily begins to wave her hand for a moment. And at that point, all of you are noticing that she's trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
And she's glancing back. And at about that point, you see Beau is standing outside now. And he's looking back at all of you. And then looking again. And then looking back at all of you. And you're getting the distinct impression that he wants something. Go ahead and make a synergy check.
Yeah.
I'm going to transfer and head up out of there.
What's that?
I'm just going to hop in the chair and head out.
Okay.
Is it
We're
just
just
straight
looking
synergy?
This would be this would be
following.
wits. This normally your empathy.
Can't really.
I'm following you.
But yeah, even Miss Lily is just like, whoa, that Beau wants something, kind of like
Yeah.
waving at all of you. What's interesting
having
is
a dinner play conversation.
what's interesting is your Geists have now become aware of the other Geist's quirks,
Yes.
and they're starting to be able to understand.
3 successes.
Okay, yeah,
love
Beau
that.
wants you to follow him. He wants to go somewhere. He spotted something.
Oh, okay.
You don't know what it is, but you see, for the first time you've known him, you see this look on his face, an expression of almost desperation.
All right. Beau says day trip. So
Okay.
yeah,
I guess we're going.
let's go see
Yeah,
what this is all
tip.
about.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tip, cash.
yeah. I assume this was kind of a
We pay at this-
square and a jar at the front kind of deal.
yeah.
We definitely do.
Yes,
but
I think we're good.
Still,
Yeah.
As you're moving out,
yourself.
Sal calls out after you and says, "Coffee's no substitute for sleep.
Tell me about it.
See you next time."
All too soon.
And he goes
No,
back
I have
to.
my fancy coffee.
As you emerge, I mean, it's like a dog that's trying to like, "Oh, you're coming? Okay, great. I'm making sure you're coming. Okay, great." And then, so as you all move out the door, the Geist's following. Ticking Man waddling behind you with his palms like he's still at the table.
you
Like-
can still stand up, but you know what? You do you, buddy. You do you.
Bo looks like you definitely get the sense that an energy about him has changed since you heard the applause. This is the third time that you've had a remembrance, that you've touched on a remembrance of Bo's, and that it's registered. It's almost like he is starting to remember something. And his urgency to bring you somewhere, as you're all kind of following, this is being unusual behavior for a Geist. Of all the Geists in the group, this one in particular, the least expressive, the least engaging,
Yeah,
is
so
now
curious.
moving like he really needs you all to follow him. It doesn't move. He doesn't have to travel far. You end up seeing he is crossing the street to what looks like an old establishment of some kind of business. As he moves across the street, right through a trolley, just as he moves across, y'all are all moving after him, reaching the other side as the Geists are following. It's still early in the morning and there's not too many people on the street, but you can all start to hear the sounds of the city waking up as the sunrise is starting to burn off a little bit of the fog. But it's still creating this haunting visage of light, shafts of light breaking through this thick air. But as you cross the street and emerge on the other side, you see he's brought you to what looks like this place you've actually never noticed before, because it just looks like one of the many small businesses on this street in San Francisco. You've passed Sal's Coffee so many times now, but you see the Marion Sweatman Theater is the name of the place. It looks like it is closed, of course, being so early in the morning. But from the looks of the inside of the building itself, judging from the lobby and the spots of like, you can see the dust spots where was furniture where dust had not collected. The sort of outcropping of windows that looks quite thin and dirty. This place has been closed for a while. It looks like it probably shuttered
Juliet's
at some
Googling.
point. You pull out the phone and start Googling.
Concert pianist.
He
program.
walks
Exactly.
right in, phases right through the door.
Juliet's a millennial. She can text and walk.
You suddenly, you stop for a second because Ticking Man has stopped his antics and is staring at the theater. And you start hearing, you start smelling, like, once again, you start hearing and smelling a copy machine. And Ticking Man immediately looks like he's getting excited. You see he kind of broadens up and he steps through immediately as well, right into the theater.
Okay, she's not Googling anymore. She's watching Ticking Man.
Stop. Ticking Man steps through, and along with Bo, they disappear into the theater.
I try the door. is like lock. Is there? I wanna get into this building. I need to
There
get
is a
into
small
this building.
alleyway to the side.
I
What's up?
have a dot in larceny.
See the old
I
credit card.
just went and looked.
See if the old credit card trick works.
I also have a dot in larceny. So
Do you want to do this together? Then?
Yeah.
There's no one on the
Alright.
street right now. It's
Let's-
like
let's
heavy
do
fog.
this.
Heavy fog. No one's really watching.
Yeah.
Early in the morning.
Juliet's
time
the
to-
distraction.
Shall we?
time to do
This
this.
is going to be a Dex larceny check.
Let's do it.
Let's see. Oh wow, this is funny. So it's an old door. What's up?
Oh, I was just thinking about approaching this as strength larceny.
You're gonna try to force the door?
Because it's old.
It's true. Do you want to make this a subtle thing where you don't leave signs that you've broken into a place, or do you want
It's
to try
boarded up.
to? It's not boarded up.
Oh.
No, it
It's
looks
just
like
shuttered.
it just
Shuttered,
says
but
it
not boarded.
has a lease sign up on the window.
Oh, okay.
How about I try the subtle approach, and if it doesn't work,
Then you can break out the guns.
And then worst case scenario,
Give them
we can
a little
always-
more time. They're only 6 months of this takes Hi.
Everybody knows that I was actually
And no one
talking
just
about
gets it
Sam's guns.
automatically.
Because the sleeveless thing.
Ivy's a
I'm just
completely
saying.
different. Oh God.
I'm just saying.
All right, please roll dice. Please just roll dice.
Worst case scenario, we could always call the leasing number and say we want a tour of the place.
Oh yes, I mean if we want to take 20 minutes, then I can.
I'm sorry, is larceny and dexterity?
This is going to be a dex larceny.
Yeah.
Difficulty on this is going to be 2.
Buy the building.
Buy the
Well, I'm
building.
only rolling 4, so.
Let's see if we can get that magic back.
Oop, oop, oop.
Oh,
I got
ooh.
1 success.
Okay, so you're standing there just trying to get the lock open using the card, and it just doesn't seem to want to budge. Actually, if you were willing to assist, I would let you assist that roll.
Okay. Do you want to roll one more? Then?
So
'Cause
roll
that's
one
the
more
assist.
die. Yeah.
No.
Well,
That's
roll
a
it,
6,
roll it
not
on
a
the
9.
roll it on the
Roll it on the
pad.
actual mat
Yeah.
that counts.
In the intended rolling unit.
Okay, so no.
Still no.
Um,
There's no version of this.
Yeah, so you're trying
I
to
should
get
have
the
chosen
store.
different dice. Yeah, it's
It's not working.
I'm guessing the subtle approach will not work right now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, make your roll.
Yeah.
Strength larceny.
Okay.
It is an old door, so
Yeah.
I'll set the difficulty at 2. It doesn't look like this place has a particular value, so the locks on this are not heavy. There's no chains or anything.
Do I see anything in Twilight on this door?
Yes, you see an old doorknob. It looks like it's a old, rather a. This door was once a 1930s door. It has that same style of like theater.
So hear me out here.
Okay, pitch me.
I'm doing a strength,
Mhm.
which is the attribute I use to kick in a gate.
I see what you're saying. So you want to see if you can use your ghost limb to smash in this door?
Basically, to use my phantom limb alongside the strength of it to kick it in through multiple dimensions, as it were.
Well,
Mostly, I think it's cool. And
So
I have
here's
a
the
ghost
thing.
leg.
I'll go ahead and say this so the audience,
Yes.
those that are watching, know that the rule that
This is completely not what
that
it
is
is for.
totally not what it is
I'm
for.
extremely stretching this.
It is fucking cool. So yes, go ahead.
Thank you.
It's just fucking
I
cool.
appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll put in some willpower to this too, because it'd be really cool if it happens. So in the same spirit again, I'm actually, I guess, if I'm ghost legging.
However,
I'm going to lean into Lily a bit.
I'm going to add. There is going to be, since I'm letting you do this, there's going to be a trade-off here.
Mhm.
So,
If it doesn't work, I'm about to smack my head into a door because I'm kicking with a ghost leg.
no, you are going to. We'll just say that it'll be impossible to mask what you're doing.
But I'm also
That's fine.
untouchable. So there's there
And
that.
again, I can buy the building.
Yeah.
I just don't want to wait the
we don't
20
have
minutes
to-
it takes to buy a building.
Let me rephrase this.
Yes.
Because I'm letting you bend the rules like this, the complication I throw at you will not be easy to get out of.
All right. Well, I got 2,
2 successes.
so that's what I got.
Okay. All right. So here's what happens.
Oh boy.
You decide to see if you can do the thing.
Frack!
As you focus on the door, all of you begin to become aware of that roaring sound that sounds like blood rushing into your ears, the winds of the underworld. You hear that sort of low ambient noise starting to rumble that no one else is aware of. And for a brief second, you see the plasm in Ivy's body pulse in the veins. Because, of course, you are all aware that plasm makes up just as bad as much blood as blood does now that you are all members of the Bound. And the door begins to tremble. And suddenly Ivy's body jerks like they're throwing a kick, and the door goes slamming open and shudders.
Beautiful.
Let's get in before
Wow, that
it
felt
looks
spicy.
before it looks like we're breaking in. Let's get inside.
Yeah, just walk in like you're not breaking in and no one thinks you're breaking in.
Also,
my
I did describe that it is a heavy fog. So right now,
Great.
there's just the unmistakable sound of a door being kicked open.
Great.
Always
you
act
okay?
like you're the owner.
You know, that tends to just reset it a bit.
It actually feels better.
Oh. Okay.
I should kick in more doors.
That's the thing is you took such a
I
rad
roll
merit and you've only been able to use it once, so I was like, yeah, let's.
I mean, it was a thing. It was
was a
literally
thing.
a door.
Yeah.
And I have a door kicking merit.
So-
So yes, I roll in like I own the place. Maybe another day.
Ticking Man and Bo.
They're not in the
seen
lobby.
at all? Oh boy.
No,
Continue
let's go to
forward.
the auditorium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's pitch black as soon as you move into the auditorium. It looks like the theater windows in here have been painted
Yeah,
over with
lights
black
up.
paint. All right, so as the lights turn on, the moment your lights flick on, you just see little motes of dust in the light beam and an 80-seat theater out in front of you. These old, dusty theater chairs and an empty stage.
80 seats.
It's impossible to not feel the
99
surging, desperate excitement of Ticking Man. His expression has changed completely. His mouth is now hanging slightly agape as he's moving through the seats, one by one, looking at the seats. And up on stage is Bo. In Twilight, there is a piano here.
Oh.
The stage is empty, but in Twilight is a broken piano that has the same stylings of a piano that was perhaps built in the 30s, an old style, full grand piano. One of the legs has broken so that the end of it's at this odd angle. And he approaches this piano and he's just staring at it. And as he's staring at it, you see Ticking Man is also having some kind of remembrance with this place.
Yeah.
Because as you're looking at Bo, as you glance back over to Ticking Man is holding piles and piles of scripts. And you see them falling out of his hands as you're hearing this sound of... and he's like letting the pages drop around him. These pages that were not there before, but they're just manifesting as he's looking at all of these pages and pages of writing.
It's all blank. Pages blank.
There's writing on the pages, but it's like having a memory of
Right, it's like
writing.
a dream. It's
You
like
can see
can't-
the writing, but you can't read it.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing page, but you can see it's obvious the way it's formatted, stage directions from theater.
Yeah.
So not screenplays, but you're seeing the format of theater plays, like left and right, just piles all over the floor. And Ticking Man turns to you, and you see him do this, and his face suddenly becomes less exaggerated. And you watch his eyes shrink down a bit to become less of a cartoonish exaggeration and more human.
So he's 7 feet tall, right?
Was.
Oh,
You
how tall
see
is he now?
you see as he looks like you're all watching him kind of reform a little bit. And it's almost like he's exhaling, his size shrinks. And he doesn't have anything on his head, but you notice that this frazzled hair suddenly becomes slicked back and his features become less exaggerated. And it takes a moment as you watch his body form into the very clear, effeminate features of a young man in a tux. With paint on his face. Mime paint.
Oh.
Of course.
And he's holding the top of his head like he's got a top hat that's not there. And you're watching his eyes as he's looking at you.
Is he still feeling excitement?
Yes, and he's doing
She's
this.
laughing. Okay.
Roll synergy.
Yeah, let's... Just synergy?
This is going to be a wits synergy roll. Wits empathy synergy if you've got it.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, empathy
Yeah.
stays in this one.
Do I
Yeah.
have
Opposite.
empathy?
So...
Hey, filling each other's holes.
Okay, Tom.
Wait, what do you know what I meant?
I'm just gonna roll. I'm just gonna shut my mouth and roll. This is so appropriate. Okay, let's see. I removed that one, and that was a 4.
Okay.
That exploded. That exploded again. 3, 4, 5, 6,
Exceptional
7,
successes.
8 successes!
successes.
God.
There we
Yes.
go.
Come at me, ticking man. If he's still taller than her, Juliet wants to stand
Yes.
on one of the seats so they're looking eye to eye.
As you look up eye to eye, just a few inches away from each other, Tiki Man can't talk to you. You guys can't really verbally communicate.
No.
But you know he's saying, "Do you see me now?" He's touching his chest again and again.
Hey,
And you see the desperation in his eyes.
I see you.
And when you say that, he puts his hands to his face like this. And he just leans forward like he's overwhelmed. You can feel suddenly the theater is a remembrance.
Mm-hmm.
He performed in a theater. Whoever he was in life, he was a performer from a long time ago. He was an assistant of some kind. You're seeing the memories flash in your head. This must have been maybe the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And you're seeing this huge, bulky, just one of the big Xerox machines, and you're seeing this young man running off copies and copies of stage scripts over and over for a cast, like he's an understudy doing favors for everybody, and he looks up right at you with this sort of like, oh my God, I remember. He just looks up at you. You can see, I mean, as a Geist,
Yeah,
it's difficult for it to manifest, but you see, the rest of you are watching this exchange. You're seeing something completely different, but you're seeing plasm run like tears down Ticking Man's face, smearing the makeup, causing it to run all the way down his neck as he's looking at you. And you can smell the paper of Xerox burning because he's running off copy after copy of 70-page scripts over and over and over as he's looking at you.
I can't wipe the plasma away, can I?
You can actually physically interact with
Yeah,
him.
so I'd like to do that.
You reach out and touch his face, and it's again, the sensation of touching the Geist is you're aware of the tactile,
She's
that
got
you're
a napkin
touching
or two
something,
in
but there's
here.
no detail.
She's got a napkin or two in here.
The tears, as you smear the tears away, they're replaced by paint. It like perfectly.
Is he sad? Is he excited?
It's a
Is
mixture.
She's crying too. 8 successes. We're really in sync right now. She's crying
Yes,
too.
it is a mixture of joy, of heartbreak, of remembering what he lost, but also being one step closer to remembering who he was. You feel that vibration. There's still so much about him you don't understand, or how he died or anything, but this is a piece of his life that was very important to him.
I'm gonna like wipe those away. Look at him one more time. Turn to you guys. Be like, just keep doing what you're doing. And then I'm gonna just like start. I'm like, I feel that excitement. I feel all that energy, and I want to run around the theater and just like point at different things and just like relive this space with him. So we're just gonna go do that. We're just gonna
As
run
you're
laps
moving
around this
through the
space.
theater,
Yeah.
you're seeing the theater in twilight.
Yeah.
So you're seeing these gold Art Deco styled like pillars reaching up to the ceiling that are painted in this cheap looking gold paint, and these coming soon like posters that you can't read the writing on. But he is excited. He's moving from each one to each one, and this love for the theater, you can just feel it exuding. This place where he came to life, whoever he was.
Yeah.
He experiences it with you in twilight as you move through, and for a second you think you can hear the sounds of an excited audience gathering in an auditorium before for curtain call. And as you're moving through, the one thing that breaks the silence that kind of chases you around just behind you is the sound of a single D key reverberating through the auditorium as you watch Bo press down one of the keys. This sound cannot be heard in the land of the living.
Betha hums the key that he just pressed.
He takes a seat at the piano. Miss Lily's hand falls onto your shoulder like she's aware that something is happening. And you too can feel the emotional reverberations in the room of two Geists that are hitting their remembrances.
The kids are all right, Miss Lily.
And Bo begins to play Beethoven's Moonlight Third. It is one of the most difficult, fast-paced piano pieces that Beethoven ever wrote. It is intensely emotional. He begins ding, 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 like immediately, and then just starts flowing through it. And you watch, he's constantly adjusting because you notice, again, as he's playing this piano, as you're moving up, that the pinky finger on his left hand is missing. And so he's adjusted just his hand at a slight angle to continue playing this piece. And there's this kind of breathless silence as you listen to Bo play this all the way through. And as the emotion builds, I mean, this particular piano piece is just raw, unrefined, just tearing your chest out. Constant flow of emotion, smashing across the keys, and just a graceful symphony of tones, all flowing together. And as he's hitting these keys, you hear a little boy shouting in Japanese and a gunshot as he plays again across and across as he hits these keys harder and harder as he moves to build. Then the boy shouting and a gunshot, a boy shouting and a gunshot. And as the keys continue to flow, you begin to get a sense of whoever Bo was in life, he was taken away from it. Because you get the sense as he's playing across these keys that he never got a chance to perform in front of an audience. You feel this regret begin to fill you. No one ever heard him play except for his grandfather, whoever his grandfather was. And the piece builds and builds and builds until it reaches its final moments of, in this particular piano piece, it just feels like a desperation. This particular piece of music, it feels almost like the piece of music itself is just begging for just a few more moments of life. If it could just exist for just a few more moments, it's screaming into the dark, please let me live just a little bit longer. But as the music reaches its final note, he hammers the key down, and it ends abruptly, as Beethoven's pieces often did, as they build to that emotional finality. And just like sometimes in life, the abruptness and then the silence. And your nostrils are filled with the scent of gun smoke and the sound of crying. As Bo leans back from the keys, and you see again tattoos peeking out from underneath his suit.
Beth is sobbing, and then also just
Ticking Man begins to clap. It's soundless. And Miss Ivy begins to clap.
Ivy doesn't, because a moment later you hear the snap of some real locks and a hand on your back.
Betha turns to Ivy and hugs her and cries on her shoulder.
Unscheduled moments. You've been doing that a lot lately.
The Geist's Bo steps down. As Bo approaches the middle of the stage, you see him reach up and remove his glasses, which removes the visage of his eyes. So when he removes his glasses, it's like he's pulling part of his face off for a second. And it's less horrifying and more just like a cartoon that has just removed a part of the drawing as he pulls the glasses off. And you see that inky blackness inside. And as he folds the glasses, he bows as everyone is applauding. And you can feel the remembrance. Whoever Bo was in life, he missed his calling. He wasn't allowed to have it. Something stopped him from having it. He was not supposed to be a pianist. But you get a sense that whoever his grandfather was, he kept playing so his grandfather would never die.
Beth turns away from Ivy, looks up at Bo.
He's put his glasses back on.
I think we'll let the two of you have a moment.
Bows very respectfully towards him and then reaches up a hand.
He immediately takes his hand out and takes yours.
And pulls herself up on stage.
Again, the roaring sound of the underworld as the living interacts with the dead. You pull to anybody else who is witnessing this, they would see something supernatural happening as you are lifted up by an unseen force right onto the stage by this dread Geist, this immensely powerful death god. And he stares at you as he's pulled you back up onto the stage.
And Beth goes, thank you. And then hugs Bo.
As you hug Bo, he puts his chin up onto your shoulder, which causes the fractures in his face to spread across his head, and he hugs you back. And the two of you, in this dark area with the motes of dust floating through the air, passing between the two of you, that is where we're going to close tonight's game.
Emotions.
Oh, so many emotions.
So I'm going to reward the two of you a dot in synergy. Which is huge in this game, but it's a 6-shot. So you gain a dot in synergy as the remembrances of your Geist have been strengthened. You've gotten a taste of who they are. And as we close out, it's also worth reminding that you've now gotten an idea of who Sam might have been. And you've gotten pieces of Sam's history, vital pieces. But next episode is our final episode. And it's got to be the episode where you're either going to uncover what's going on with Darren,
Or die again.
or we'll see what happens. Who knows?
Yes, but we have an appointment with the mayor.
Oh my gosh, so much is gonna happen next episode. It's
Right?
fine. Everything's fine. It will all go so well.
Until it doesn't.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to Before the Gate. We appreciate you going on this little journey with us, our little 6-episode ghost story of Geist 2nd Edition. Thank you to, of course, QueueTimes. As always, thank you to Jake and the team at QueueTimes for letting us play in their playground as we run this game. And thank you guys, even our VOD watchers, everybody who's tuning in to support the show. Thank you so much. I'm going to leave you tonight with some anticipation. Next episode will be very important because it's not only the finale, but next episode we're going to have some announcements. Some pretty big announcements about what lie ahead for some of us here and what's going to be coming up in 2020. We've been sitting on this for a while, so I won't say too much more. I'm very bad at that, as I am constantly reminded. But I will say that next episode, definitely tune in because we're going to have some exciting stuff to share with you guys that we've been wanting to share.
And also,
for a very
we're
long
going
time.
to kick Sam McGee's lying skank ass.
So,
See us next week.
see you guys next week. Thank you so much. And until then, everybody, as always, stay spooky.